Welcome everybody to the grand final day of the Star Sailors League here in beautiful Bahamas. We're in the Nassau Yacht Club. I have Mr. America's Cup, Dennis Conner, with me, a two-time Star World Champ, 4 times America's Cup winner. Dennis, it's interesting now. We go, the top 11 sailors go through and they go into a quarterfinal, a semi-final and a final. So we have 10 sailors, 7 sailors and then 4 sailors. And it's not going all Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada's way.
It's a big surprise for me of the regatta is to see how Freddie Loof, especially fast downwind. Robert Scheidt just so dominant last year when here in the same conditions downwind could gain 75 yards on each run. But yesterday was a different story, and the day before Freddie Loof may be in a position to pull off a big upset. But I think he'll have a tough go with Robert, and Middleblatt's fast upwind in the more moderate conditions. So I think those 3 will get through, but it could be a good battle between the French and the Italian. Diego's good, and I think it's going to be a very interesting day. We have a little different condition with the wind a little further to the left. Not as strong, it's moderated. It looks to me like 13, 14, 15 knots. Probably come up a little in the afternoon, but it's not that same really strong breeze where the Star Sailors have to start moving the jib leads out and depowering, Traveler down, a little more twist in the main. Today I think it'll be all on, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to hear Digby's broadcast.
Well, we're going to be broadcasting any second now. The boats are getting prepped and getting ready. Should just remind everybody, just again, that it's we're into the final. 9 boats, have been cut, and they're going to take some kids out sailing, which is really cool. So 11 boats go through. Freddie Loof, top of the leaderboard, gets a leapfrog to the semi-final, and Freddie's quite happy about that. It's less physical effort. He can sit out, watch the conditions, look at where the shifts are going, see how everything's going, and just calmly assess how he will attack the semi-final. A lot of money at stake, $200,000 US. The big chunk of it going to be decided right today. Top prize, $40,000 US, and that is a very nice Christmas bonus. So we have 3 races today. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be great racing. The sailors are really, really fired up this morning, and Gemma Kerr is down on the dock chatting to some of the sailors right now. Gemma.
Okay, thank you, Digby. It's a huge day today, and I'm joined by Bob Fisher. Bob, I'm going to jump in with the big question. Who's going to win today?
You asked me that. I've got well, I have got an idea. Yes, of course. I'd still rather think that Robert Scheidt could do this. After all, he's the match man, and I think that it's going to be Robert Scheidt. It's going to be tight. Hell's teeth. Freddie Loof gave him a run for his money yesterday, and that's going to be probably the battle in the top 4. Those 2 will come out, and whoever joins them is going to have to stay in their wakes, I think. Yeah, Robert Scheidt to win.
Okay, so that's who your money's on. I'm gonna go with an outsider. I'm gonna go Giles to make things exciting.
Oh well, Giles could do this. I mean, he's got everything to play for. I mean, nobody expects him to do it. But on the other hand, Finn sailor of much class. He pushed Ben Ainsley so very hard in 2012 to get the Olympic place, and I think that he's going to show very much in his own class. But in this class, he's as he said before he came here, as he got here, 4 hours of star sailing before this competition began. Well, he's done well on 4 hours of experience, hasn't he?
It's a little bit of an ominous feeling on the dock today as everyone's getting ready to go out for the final day of racing. And I'm joined by defending champions Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
What magic have you got up your sleeves?
Well, it is a day that you have to take it step by step. So we cannot think about the 3rd race. We have to think about the 1st race and to try to do well on that one, and then we have to think about the 2nd race. And hopefully we'll manage to go through, and then we can think about the big race, which is the final one.
And Bruno, you guys have been sailing together for a long time, over 10 years. What advantage does that give you over some of the other sailors here?
Not big advantage. We are talking a very high level of sailors. You can see the top 10. The last one, the entry is Gilles Scott, the 2 times world champion. I think that we are, after this 10 days sailing here, we are ready to race much more than the first race that when we arrived. So I think that we have a lot of good level to compete against the guys.
And confidence is a huge thing in all sports, and you guys are defending champions, so you've got this in the bag, haven't you, surely?
Yeah, of course. We try to stay positive all the time, and we believe in our chances, of course. But we got to execute the race well and start well, sail well. So we want to go out there and give our 100%.
Okay, so no one's ruffled your feathers yet.
No, not really.
Okay, well, have a good one anyway.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Okay, I'm joined by Mark Menzelblatt. And Mark, hi, good morning, first of all. My question to you, how are you going to win this thing?
Well, we've got different conditions today. Breeze is a lot lighter. And it's going to take a better day than yesterday for sure. And a little bit of luck. So hopefully we can have good speed in these conditions and pull off something nice today.
Okay, so it's all going on behind me. Everyone's getting their boats into the water, but we've got Diego just behind me from Italy, currently 4th. Diego, can we just have a quick chat?
Yeah.
A big day for you guys today, the final day of the regatta. How are you feeling?
It's a great feeling. That's what we were waiting for since last year. Last year we reached till the last super final for boats, and I hope to do the same this year and try to play a bit better, because last year we were in 4th at the end. So it would be a big goal for us to reach the last final, and then we'll try to do a little bit better than last year.
Okay, so Jorge, I've just bumped into you on your way to your boat. You've got a handful of water, some chocolate, trying to keep the energy up. It's a big day for you today.
For sure. I hope we can do a first good race, and once we are in the semi-final, I think everything can happen.
You seem pretty calm to me. Is that usual? It's quite an important day.
I think there's no pressure for us, and especially for the Finn guys. I never really thought about the pressure when I'm in an important race. It was like this in the world. I'm young, but I am already went to the Olympics, so I think I have a good experience.
You're used to dealing with the pressure. All right, well, enjoy today anyway, and we'll be watching to see how you do.
Thank you very much.
Well, good work, Gemma. We're here in the Nassau Yacht Club in our little commentary position now with Dennis Conner, famous America's Cup sailor. Here's our little studio cam. Quick wave out to everybody. Dennis, I'm going to come to you in just a second. Out on the water, we have Louis Habib, who is sitting right next to the famous journalist Bob Fisher. You know Bob very well, don't you, over the years? Louis and Bob, great to see you guys looking fit and healthy, catching some rays. Talk about today, guys, quickly.
Go on, Bob, fire away. Well, it's a lovely day. I mean, who could want anything better than this? Among sailors, this is just the breeze they all want. 15 perhaps, gusts 16, 17 knots, and a gust veering to the east a little. But yeah, it's a great racing day, and we're going to see some stunning racing with these guys. They've been at it for 3 days, and now that it's come down to the short and bitter strokes, they're going to have to work very, very hard indeed to win this 200,000 prize, aren't they?
Yeah, indeed. And the interesting thing on the tactics, the breeze was due to die off a little bit today, and it has done, but it's probably still sort of mid-teens. It's still 15, 17 knots, but it's also gone a bit more to the north, which brings Rose Island into play. And Rose Island, it's a little bit deceptive. It's quite far away, but I think that the pin end is going to be really favoured at the moment. We should get some lifts off the land, and the teams are going to be looking at that. So I think it's quite likely that you're going to see the boats going left up this first beat. That's the 4-minute gun, so we haven't got long to go. I beg your pardon, 5-minute gun. So we haven't got long to go. We mentioned a few of the favourites. I heard Bob in his interview earlier talking about Robert Scheidt, Bruno Prada, Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom. But you know what? I think we've failed to mention Negri and Lambertenghi. And we saw them here last year. They came second. They've been second at the Worlds twice. And, just maybe that Italian bridesmaid's going to become the bride. That would be my outside bet Negri Lambertenghi, I think they might enjoy it a little bit lighter.
I didn't see enough violins for them to become the bride today. I really didn't, and I don't think it's quite up their street. I think it's really down to the toughness of the two leading guys so far, or three, because you're not going to write off Mendelblatt in this. I mean, this is meat and gravy to him. I mean, obviously, look at it. Yeah. See what it's looked like. I mean, in this condition on the other days, he's been right up there with them, and I think that Mark will be hard to beat too.
Yeah, 7 of these 11 teams have won gold at either the Olympics or the World Championship. It's that wide open.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. You're clear for a moment. We'll let Adam reset and get onto his famous America's Cup camera. I'm in the studio with Dennis. We're in the race sequence now. We're under 4 minutes. Okay. Bob's stolen your line. He's gone for the Brazilians, Scheidt and Prada. Dennis, what are we going to see today?
Well, the wind's a little more to the left right now, and the left side's usually favored. But with the wind to the left, the right could come good later as the land heats up over NASA. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a few shortcuts off the right-hand side of the course. I think as far as the pressure, maybe the pressure is a little on Robert because he's been known as the king. But Freddie Loof looked very, very fast downwind to me yesterday. But normally Robert's the king of downwind. So watch Freddie Loof on the runs. And I'm set for a good day listening to your broadcast and seeing how this all comes out.
Well, the famous Dennis Conner, it's a great honor to have you in our studio, Dennis. Thank you very much. We're under 3 minutes, and Adam is resetting his America's Cup camera out there. We'll have some live images in about 40 seconds, a minute or so. But here we have 10 guys out on the water, 10 boats, 10 teams, 20 sailors, and the pressure a little bit on Scheidt and Prada to perform. Now it's rather interesting. They've added a wrinkle, a new addition to this year's Star Sailors League final, because whoever won the round robins, the first 3 days of racing, we've had 9 races so far, 20 teams, 9 are no longer racing. But the winner of those that round robin was Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom, and they get a jump to the semi-final. So we're going into the quarterfinal now. We have 3 races today. Anders and Freddie were launching late, very relaxed. I just saw them down on the dock. We spoke to them. They're looking cool. They like the fact that they don't have to race this race. They can just chug out there, cruise out, see what's going on, save a bit of their energy and strength, and hit the semi-finals running. So these guys here, the top 6, are going to go through to the next round, where the semi-finals will have Anders and Ekstrom, Freddie Loof as well, with 7 boats. So 6 guys will go through. That's 4 guys getting knocked out.
Digby, you know, you can hear Freddie Loof say it's an advantage not to have to race, but I think sometimes it can work against you because you're not up against the speed that's been developed in the first race, so you really don't know how you're going. You could be a little slow off the line.
Well, we just saw the Blue Peter flag come down from our live shot. The virtual eye is about 4 or 5 seconds delayed through all the satellites and GPSs and stuff like that. But here, virtually, with 50 seconds to go, we can see Giles Scott and Stevie Milne going for a committee boat end start. The Italians towards the pin end, and Scheidt and Prada towards, I'm not sure which Brazilian, Scheidt and Prada. Let's have a look. Number 5. There they are in the middle. Conservative. And let's see what Robert Scheidt does on this start line. We'll cut to the live shot in just a moment. The back to the live. There we see Robert Scheidt, the BRA Gold Star, just behind the committee boat. They're all lining up. We'll stay with the live shot. When that star flag comes down the committee boat, that is the start. Seconds to go, lining up. Bosh, a lot of people over that line, I thought. That has to be a general recall. General recall. Okay, Louis Habib, we saw that from our camera position. These guys are feisty. They want to get the best start. Giles Scott there going for the committee boat end. Scheidt and Prada in the middle, and the Italians towards the pin. Everyone with their little different strategy. And Dennis, just before I come to you, Dennis, just before I come to you, Louis, Dennis, they're keen, huh?
Well, it looked like the right-hand end was favored based upon how they set up. I saw Robert slide up on the line a little early, took a look over his right-hand shoulder, and he thought he was too close to the line. I saw him bear off, and the other three guys kept going. So they were going to cover him up. I think he could have been a little more aggressive because I don't see how they could have seen him.
Okay, Louis Habib, what's your take?
Well, my take, I think that Zarif and Boning up at the pin end were the biggest guilty party in that general recall. But yeah, a lot of boats over, and you know, that's seriously playing Russian roulette, because if you do get called over and an individual recall, it's knockout. You know, you will almost certainly not be able to get back in to this race. So incredible how competitive that was. At the start there, I had a little look at a gel packet that had fallen in the water to see what the tide was like, and it doesn't seem to be much tide at the moment. So yeah, just a bit of nervous tension there. But you know, starts are always important, but perhaps with the race course as it's set up now, with potentially a very favoured left-hand side, in my opinion, you know, winning the start here is going to, you know, propel you up there. But as I say, there's so many gold medals clanking around here that you know, there's nothing set. You've got to get away well, or you could get eliminated.
Thanks, Louis. Well, we're seeing the live shots, the committee boats, the press boats, the camera boats, the umpires, the judges, the jury. There's a lot of people out there on the water, and we're looking at that general recall flag there. And the race officer, Sharon, will reset as soon as she possibly can. And Dennis, just remind me what happens when that blue and yellow flag comes down.
Got 1 minute to go till
the 5.
Correct, to the blue flag.
Sweet. Okay, so general recall for race number 10. We are in the quarterfinals of the Star Sailors League. We're prepping. We're here in the beautiful Nassau Yacht Club. I'm here with Dennis Connor, 2 times Star World Champion, as well as 4 times America's Cup winner. And he's affectionately called Mr. America's Cup. And we have an America's Cup camera out there on the water, operated by Adam Brown, the Da Vinci of on the water cameraman, doing a great job. And we're zooming in there to Johannes Polgar and Marcus Coy. Now, these guys had a bit of trouble yesterday because Giles Scott and Stevie Milne piled into them and punched a hole in their mainsail, which pulled them out of race number 7 and race number 8, and they were not given redress. There was no system for redress, I believe, in the Star Sailors final, but they had enough points to get them through to the quarterfinals. Very gentlemanly conduct all around. Giles and Stevie apologised profusely to the Germans. It was a very clear port starboard incident. Giles Scott racing these stars for the first time. He is in the quarterfinals. That is a huge result for Giles and Stevie. Giles is a Finn sailor, and he's been unbeaten this year in Finns, winning the World Championships and the Europeans. And we have some other Finn sailors out there as well. Looking at George Zarif with Henry Burning there, bow number 98. These guys also VIP sailors. George is from Brazil. He's young, he's 22, going for Rio 2016 in the Finn, and he did an amazing job over the past 3 days, and George is in contention here. Dennis, quite a surprise actually to see George here.
The Finn sailors have been doing well, especially the strong breeze. They're good at pumping, rocking, and ooching, and the catching the waves. So it hasn't been a surprise to see them doing well in the strong wind. We'll see if they do better here in the medium wind, or the experience of the Star class will take over.
Okay, and there's another Finn sailor in amongst it, which is Ivan Gaspic, who's sailing with Ante Sitchich. from Croatia, 2 Croatians, good friends, and Ivan has been competing hard this year. He's also going for the Olympics in Rio in 2016, and Ivan was second at the World Championships this year, and we're just seeing their boat through, the committee boat. Thank you, Adam. And Ivan flew in from Abu Dhabi, from the World Cup there, the ISAF Sailing World Cup for the Olympic classes in Abu Dhabi. He flew straight here from coming second in that event, so he's doing pretty well in the Finns at the moment, and a strong contender. So you know, we've got the best Finn Scott with the best Finn sailor in the world right now, duking it out in a star. Who'd have thought that, Dennis?
Hard to imagine. They're on edge right now. The gun's going to be coming shortly, and we're going to be off in 4 minutes.
Okay, let's very quickly join Louis Habib out there on the water for some conditions and timing. Louis, how long to go?
Yeah, spot on. That is the 4-minute gun, and Claude Bonani on board here has pointed out that they've actually moved the pin. It was, so that's 5 minutes, beg your pardon, 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes, 4 minutes 45 seconds now. Yeah, Claude Bonani's pointed out they moved the pin. Pin did look a little bit favoured, to say the least. So they have moved the pin to try and square the line up a bit more. Conditions much the same. I wouldn't say there's been any change in the conditions, and it'll be interesting to see how whether the boats go for the pin or not. It's a really short line. I mean, there's no way you could fit, well, 10 stars on that line, no way at all. So it's really tense out here, knockout stages. We've got just coming up to, what's that, 4 minutes to go, just about now, Digby. There you go. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Louis. That is the Blue Peter. 4 minutes to go, no black flags yet. It's early days today. This is the race start of the quarterfinals, and Virtual Eye is giving us the bird's eye view. Looking down, we can see the young Brazilian, George Zarif, with Henry Björning, just above the line there with Negri and Lambertengi and Scott and Milne. And just below the line, we're seeing Mendelblatt with 3.5 minutes to go, heading down towards the pin end. Polgar and Coy, the Germans, heading out towards the committee boat, setting up for possibly a committee boat start, and there's Scheid and Prada in the middle of it. You know, Robert Scheid seems to get incredible starts, Dennis.
He likes the middle. I never see him really on the end. He's happy to get up there and fight out, try to get a little water to leeward so he can bear off right before the gun and go for it. This line is awfully short, Digby, and it's going to be hard for everyone to get an even start. So there's going to be 1 or 2 that are going to get off the line in good shape, then you're going to have to see people tacking just for clear air because the line's so short.
Well, that's a good observation, which Louis can see with his eyeballs out there. So adds to a bit of drama, I think, for the start of the quarterfinals. Somebody's going to get squeezed out, but somebody's going to have a great start. And my money with you, Dennis, is on Robert Scheid, because he's just such a master of starting.
He is, but he still has to be careful not to get over early. And starting in the middle of the line, it's harder to tell exactly when you're on the line. It's easier if you're at one end or the other to know how far you are away.
Okay, there is Robert Scheid with Bruno Prada. They are the defending champions of the Star Sailors League. They won this event last year and walked off with the big prize money, and they're taking this event incredibly seriously. But as we mentioned at the top of our show, it isn't all going their way. We've got Freddie Loof in the mix, who's not racing this one. He's got the bye to the semi-finals. He's putting his heels up. He'll be out to the side of the start line, watching what's going on, just analysing what everyone else is doing. So we're in sequence here for the quarterfinals, and we'll just have one last comment from Louis before we get into our race commentary. Louis, any more news from you?
Not at the moment, just to say that you know, the fleet are staying well away from the line at the moment. They're all on the right-hand side, just reaching up and down. And sussing each other out, I would guess, but they're staying well clear of the line at the moment. I'm not 100% sure. I can see a sail in the distance. Looks like a star. That could be Loof and Ekstrom coming out. But as you say, they're not in this tense quarter-final. They can just take stress out and wait for the semi. But here comes the line up here. I can see that looks like Polgar and Coy. nearest the line, and Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada just behind them in second. But the fleet is really strung out in a single line, and that would tend to suggest they're all going to go for the same spot. They're all looking for, where they're going to hit that line. All of them have now got space down to leeward, which is, the preferred way. The Italians just shadowing Medeblack and Fatty, and also the Croatians. So it's a slow build-up here to the line. The Germans, Polgar and Coy, are the closest to the line, flapping. But it's quite a conservative start, this one, Digby. So
Thanks,
we'll
Louis.
just I'll
Going to cut across you there. Just we're virtually seeing Polgar and Kai right behind the committee boat. They're all lined up. We'll cut to the live shot now. Scheidt and Prada going for a more pin-end start.
And big mess on the right-hand end. Somebody's going to be over there early and get flushed out.
There's the flag going down. It looked clear to me, Dennis.
I think so.
Okay, we're off. We're into the quarterfinals of the Star Sailors League. And remember that some of these guys are not going to get through to the semi-finals. Only 6 boats are going to go through. 4 boats will be culled. The pressure is on. They must make that top 6 in this race to get through to the next round, where they will join Freddie Loof in the semi-final, where 7 boats will duke it out for the final, where only 4 go through for the big prize money of $40,000 top prize, as we keep saying, fabulous Christmas bonus. So we're all on here, Dennis, and what are you seeing?
Well, Mark Mendelblatt didn't get a very good start. He's kind of in the middle of the line to the right. The left looks like they like that, and I'm hoping he can hold his place there. But he didn't seem very advanced, that last picture I saw.
Well, we're just seeing the Croatians, Gaspic and Sicic, getting a terrible start and having to tack away onto port and claw their way behind some of the fleet. The nearest boat to us, the Brazilians, and the furthest boat we can see bound number 5, another Brazilian. So this is who is that nearest us? Johannes Polgar and Marcus Coy. They've gone up the committee boat end of the line, and now they've tacked over to port and they're heading out to the right-hand side. If virtually we pull out a little bit, John, we will see the German team just below there. Okay, so there you see the picture.
And Robert Scheidt leading the left. He's managed to claw a little room off the boat to leeward of him, and he's in control of the race right now.
Okay, words of wisdom from Dennis Connor. Scheidt in the lead. Staniek and Olesen in second. Kuznierovic and Zitsky in third. The Polgar and Coy guys, the Germans, heading out to the right-hand side as we look up the course, up the track, and we'll see how that's going to pay off for them at the top mark. You never know, Dennis, but right now it is Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada with a pin-end start, and they're looking fairly tasty with the Germans. Robert Staniek, the reigning world champion, racing here with Klaus Olesen from Denmark, and these guys looking good. Kuznierovic and Zitsky in the mix there, also out on the left-hand side, and we saw Gaspic and Sicic from Croatia not looking so good on that start in 10th place. They have a lot of work to do, those guys.
Mendelblatt's got some good speed now. He's managed to move himself out of that bad spot. Looks like he's about 4th or 5th to me, but Robert Scheidt still leading to the left.
You're liking the left, Dennis?
Well, it looks like that on the head and behind line here from Virtual Y. So hard for me to know sitting here in the booth, but I think the technology knows better than I do.
Well, we also have the America's Cup camera out there on the water giving these incredible pictures. A lot of silver, golds and yellow stars up there, all world and Olympic champions. These guys are top of their field in their respective classes. We have 3 VIP guests out there, as well as some of the best star sailors in the world, and one of the best laser sailors in the world in Robert Scheidt, who has won gold in both laser and star. He has 5 Olympic medals, and he is a legend in our sport, and he's one of the most successful Brazilian Olympic athletes in all sport, in all time. So here they go. He has the Frenchman on his hip, Rohart and Ponceau. Xavier Rohart, a bronze medalist in the star class, sailing here with Pierre Alexis Ponceau, and nearest us is Polgar and Coy, just climbing their way back into the middle of the fleet. And if we cut back to Virtual Eye just for a second, we can see Polgar and Koi now beginning to look rather good as they come into the middle of the racetrack. They took a gamble, perhaps. Maybe they saw something. What do you think, Dennis?
I think that the middle black got flushed out, had to tack, and he's praying that right will come good. Otherwise, he's going to have a hard time here coming out back on the right-hand side. I still like Schleit working him the boat hard. When we zoom in on him again, you can see how he's using his body every wave. He's pumping it out, and he's like a washing machine going around, ooching that boat forward into the waves. So, be interesting to see, but it still looks like the left is good.
Okay, well, Robert Scheid through that wall of sails at the moment. So our camera boat is heading up the right-hand side of the track, and Adam is zooming right across to the left-hand side of the track as these boats head upwind. Very tight racing, very close, these boats. We're beginning to see Johannes Polgar and Marcus Koi get into their own clear air, and perhaps they're going to cross these guys. It's a little deceptive, Dennis, from our angle, but we can go back to Virtual Eye and just see Polgar and Koi in the middle of the track there, and they're beginning to look pretty tasty.
Yes, they are, and the four boats on the left are battling with each other. Hope they're not slowing each other down.
Well, I imagine they are slowing each other down.
Well, not necessarily. It might be working harder just to keep up.
Okay, so fascinating tactical game here in the quarterfinals of the Star Sailors League finals. Grand finale, 3 races today. This is the quarterfinals. 6 of these guys go through to the semi-final where they meet Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom, and then 4 go through to the big final. And a fascinating race this. It's all on going towards that top mark, and really whoever comes around last that top mark is going to be in trouble.
Oh, this can be interesting. It looks like the poles may catch. Oh, Robert had to duck. He had to get out of there, and that's going to put him in a bad spot. Hard for him to get out of that because he didn't want to attack. He'll get over on the left-hand side and overstand. And Mendelblatt's coming out of the right. We're going to finally see how that all worked. It's time to cash in.
Well, these guys having to weave their way through each other, and now we're looking at the poles. Kuznierovic and Zitsky, they can start blowing out some exhaust onto those guys right behind them.
That was a good move there. It really hurt Robert. They attacked to starboard. Robert had to duck on port, nowhere to go, and put him back 2 boat lengths and back into the crowd. So they look to me like they're going to be in control as long as the right doesn't come good.
Well, we can have a quick look at Virtual Eye just to give us the mathematics. On the furthest right going up the track is Giles Scott and Stevie Mills with his fellow Finn sailor Ivan Gaspic right behind him with Ante Sitchich. Further up into the middle of that bunch is Diego Negri, who is the top-ranked star sailor on the Star Sailors League, sailing with Sergio Lambertenghi. Those guys were second at the World Championships this year, trained the most for this regatta, and they are very clever in their tactics, playing the middle at the moment. Polgar and Koi, the Germans, they got off to a right-hand side start, and it's beginning to pay off for them. And Scheid and Prada furthest to the left of our screen with Kuznierovic and Zitsky right at the top. So we'll see if Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada can pull out an extra gear going up towards that top mark.
It doesn't look to me like they have any edge upwind here. They just one of the leaders, pretty much the same boat speed. So they're going to get up there. It might be a little behind, but then we're coming into Robert's area downwind.
Well, Dennis, downwind is another story. It's where you can make some big gains in this class, and in most classes, I would say. We're under 600 meters to the top mark, and we'll just rejoin our live shot there, and where we are seeing Robert Staniek, the reigning world champion. He won that with Fritjof Kleen. Frieda, our friend from Germany, has a damaged knee, so he's pretty gutted not to be here. But Klaus Olesen from Denmark is doing a great job standing in, and we wish Frida all the best. We've said that every single day, and I don't mind saying it again on the 4th and final day of the Star Sailors League Champion. There are the Italians tacking across to port. We're beginning to get to the business end of the first leg of the quarterfinals, up towards that cone of the top mark. That little cone there, everybody within that cone. We saw some guys overstanding yesterday, bit of an overstanding, bit of a wind shift, and it's not happening today. Everyone within the ley lines as they head upwind. Polgar and Coy still leading on our mathematical lead line going up to that top mark, with Kuznirovic and Zitsky in second. Scheid and Prada now beginning to come back into the frame mathematically in terms of distance towards that top mark.
It's going to be who comes on starboard, who has to duck on port. That extra 2 boat lengths right at the buoy can mean several places. They're very, very close together.
Okay, we're looking at the incredible view of Virtual Eye, which is giving us all the maths as we go upwind and a real heli viewpoint of what is going on. Polgar and Coy beginning to give the lead to Kuznirovic and Zitsky. Scheid and Prada at the top of our screen beginning to look fairly tasty. We can, where is Robert Staniak on that screen? John from Virtual Eye, if we could fire up Robert Staniak's name, the Germans, bow number 3. I just didn't see them on the screen, that's all. Where can you fire up their name? So Staniak and Olesen, there they are in the middle of that pack, and we can join our live shot, and there they are. Robert Staniak, reigning world champ, with Klaus Olesen from Denmark, working their way upwind, and there you can see the effort that it's taking on these boats.
It's the chop's up a little bit now. He's starting to hobby horse a little bit, putting in a little extra effort to keep that boat flat so they can use the sails to power through.
Okay, these are the live shots from the Star Sailors League final, and just look at the grit and his teeth of Robert Staniak, the reigning world champ, working his way. The crew lent right up there. That takes effort, Dennis.
I saw him pulling the lower runner a little bit, so he's making his mainsail a little fuller to get through the chop up here by the weather mark.
Okay, so the Germans working their way up to the top. We can cut back to Virtual Eye and get an idea. There's Staniak and Olesen mixing up. They're in 7th position mathematically. They're not going to reach that top mark first. Who is? Is it Kuznirovic? Is it Robert Scheid? Mendelblatt beginning to come into the frame as well. So Robert Scheid beautifully within the cone, heading towards the top mark, and Kuznirovic also outside him, mathematically ahead. So right now it's looking like the Polish team, Kuznirovic, bow number 8. And there's Negri and Lambertenghi just getting crossed by Mendelblatt and Fati. Back to our live shot. Robert Scheid, and there is Kuznirovic and Zitsky. They are just going to come in first around that mark. Beautifully done, Dennis.
That left came good again, but now the race downwind, we'll see how Robert can work his magic or not.
Well, Mendelblatt in the mix in 3rd. That is consistently brilliant. Zarif is in there, which is amazing. And then we're seeing Giles Scott, Stevie Mill go round. Then the Italians, Negri and Lambertenghi, with Robert Staniak and Klaus Olesen on their hip. Just coming into screen, George Zarif and Henry Boning.
I think Mendelblatt must have had some pretty good speed come around that mark in 3rd, because he forced off to the wrong side after a mediocre start. But he must be fast, or he wouldn't have been able to climb that fast.
Well, Scheid on fire here and doing enough at the moment as these boats just spin their way around the spreader mark. Let's rejoin Loué Habib out there on the water for your take, Loué.
Yeah, the take on that mark rounding, Robert Scheid could have easily taken the poles out there, and you know, there was no overlap. He could have stopped them going around that mark. he didn't bother. It's not about winning this race. The danger zone is the bottom three, and that's Staniek, that's the Croatians, and that's Zarif. And those three are well, Zarif's just had an early jibe, but there are a couple of boat lengths at least behind that leading pack. That's where the real battle is. It's not up at the front of this fleet. The real battle's at the back to make the cut. Scheidt showed that. He let the poles in big time. Just left a massive hole there for them to come in, because it's not about winning this race. It's about not being in the bottom three, Jigby.
Okay, Dennis Connor in our studio. We're looking at Robert Scheid hammering downwind, and looks to me like he's about to overtake the Poles, Kuzniewicz and Zitsky.
Looked like he just sailed right through his lee. Got a big wave, gave it a little rock, and off he went. But
well, they're all riding the waves. They're all picking up little waves, and we'll stay with this two-shot of the leaders in the quarterfinals of the Star Sailors League. And here we see what it's all about, Dennis.
We saw Robert jibe right down that wave, pull that main in like quick as a cat, come through that jibe right into the lead of the race. Now he's got control. The leeward boat can't just sail right by him.
Well, Louis mentioned that Robert didn't attack the Poles going around that top mark, and why would you?
Well, he's playing it safe. I think he knew he had a good chance to pass him downwind. A lot of confidence in his sailing ability.
Well, also in shots is Johannes Polgar with Marcus Coy. Remember, they are now with a new mainsail. They've borrowed a mainsail from the Brazilians, and which is why I got a little confused earlier, sorry, because normally they would have their German mainsail up, but because Giles Scott punched a massive hole in their sail yesterday, these guys have kindly been lent another sail, and they are the German team, Polgar and Coy, sailing with a Brazilian sail, which is why I got a little confused going around that top. But fair enough, very nice sportsmanship amongst the fleet. There were no arguments or recriminations. I saw Giles and Stevie Milne, apologise profusely around the notice board yesterday, and that was very well received by the Germans, who just shrugged and said, okay, that's life, let's move on. Anyone got a sail? And there they are with a borrowed mainsail. Fair play. And they're doing okay here, Dennis, the Germans.
Yes, they are. But again, I don't want to overdo it, but it looks like Robert's passed everyone and now is extending his lead.
Well, mathematically, Robert is just in about 5-6 meters behind the poles, but it's moving backwards and forwards. We're just staying with the live shot because it's so cool. And we're seeing Johannes Polgar really working that main sheet. Now, this is where you make the big gains and losses. In the same shot, we can see Robert Scheid. Robert Scheid never stops moving, Dennis.
He's very impressive. I mean, when you see him as an individual, he just looks so strong and fit, and really pays off for him here by the body movements in the boat.
Well, Robert Scheid, an extremely impressive individual, as Dennis says, with his 5 Olympic medals. He's now back into the laser class at the age of 41, taking on some young guys half his age, and just look how fit and strong he is. He is an athlete, 5 times Olympic medalist. He is the reigning champ of the Star Sailors League, come here to defend his title with his trusty Robin, Batman and Robin, his sidekick Bruno Prada. There he is on the mast, a big solid guy, a man of few words. He says, we asked him, how much pressure are you under, Bruno? And he says, no pressure. That was it. That's all he has to say about it, with a big smile on his face. And now look at him working that boat, just rocking it around. He's moving that little spinnaker pole, the jockey pole, up, adjusting it as he goes. It's like a dance between these two. If we just pull out a little bit, Adam, our fantastic cameraman, out there on the water, look at the unison of these two guys working together. They're communicating together, they're talking about what's coming behind, what's ahead, and it's like music.
I think it's interesting them moving the inboard end of the whisker pole up and down to adjust the tension on the leash of the jib, depending upon what part of the wave they're in. If they start reaching a little more, he pushes it down so the sail has a little more twist. They go straight downwind, pushes it up and squares the jib up like pulling a spinnaker back.
Oh, it's just amazing seeing Bruno Prada work. You know, I feel like I'm almost on board, Dennis, because these guys are hammering downwind. We can fire up some boat speeds in a minute on Virtual Eye. I think we should chop to Virtual just for a moment and just get an idea. And there we see Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada now 10 meters clear of the Poles Kuznierovic and Jitsky, and Scheid and Prada beginning to show their mastery of sailing and competition in this incredibly tense class. Now if we pull out with Virtual Eye, we begin to see the whole picture. Mendelblatt and Fatih from the USA looking very comfortable in third position in their own air there, with Scott and Milne up in contention in fourth place, Dennis.
They're doing really well. I'm very, very happy for them.
Well, it would be sensational if one of the Finn sailors get through to the semi-final, a real sensation. It's already sensational that 3 of them have got through to the quarterfinals. These guys, invitees, VIP guests, none of them star sailors, and they've jumped into a star pretty much for the first time, and they're in the quarterfinals. And here is Giles Scott and Stevie Milne in fourth place. Negri and Lambertenghi right behind them, almost neck and neck actually, with Staniek and Olesen in sixth. As we look at that leaderboard on the left, those top 6 are going through to the next round, but we still have another 2 legs to go, Dennis.
Well, it looks like 2 of our 3 favorites are going to make it through without a problem, with Mendelblatt and Scheid in a good position in this race. We'll have to see who makes this next 4 will be where it really gets tight.
Okay, well, we're going to cut back to our live camera on the water for the mark rounding, and let's join Louay Habib out on the water. Talk us through the mark rounding, Louay.
Yes, indeed. Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada just coming through here. It looks like they both like the same gate mark, and it's really neck and neck between the poles. The poles have come back in, and it's fantastic to watch. And I can tell you that Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom are watching it as well. They're out here, and at the mark, it's just Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada ahead of the poles. And but I've got to say, look at the battle at the back. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them all there, and 3 of those are going to go out if it stays like this. But there's an absolute peloton of boats coming in, 5 of them at the back of the fleet, and 3 of those boats are going to go home if it stays like that. That's where the real battle is, not at the front, to be honest with you, Digby. But no big incidents at the moment, but I think we should stay with this, because here they come. It's 5 boats literally in a ball going round the mark, and there's just no daylight between any of them. It's just the French. Fantastic move there by Rohart and Ponso to come to the front of that pack. The Croatians have done well as well, Gaspic and Sitic, and so has Zarif and Bonig. And out the back door is Staniek, I believe, on that mark rounding. They're quite incredible scenes here at the back of the fleet. But as you say, Robert Scheid, actually he's gone over to the left and the poles have gone right. So that's quite interesting. The Italian Negri and Lambertenghi have followed Scheid as well. But the battle's at the back, Digby. Back to you in the studio.
It looked to me like the left-hand side of the gate was upwind, so that's why they all fought for that. And Robert Scheid had the inside at the mark, made a very nice rounding, forced the poles wide, and I saw them lose 2 boat lengths right away. So they like the left upwind. Robert got the first jump off there. He's going to win this race without any real issues.
Okay, battle at the back. Let's cut very quickly to virtual if we could. And okay, Dennis, the story is at the bottom of this leaderboard here. 4 of these guys, are not going to go through. And right now it's Gaspic with Sitic, Staniek and Olesen, the reigning world champ, in trouble there in 8th position. Polgar and Coy, fellow Germans, also in trouble. And there's George Zarif with Henry Burning from Brazil. At the moment, sensationally for me, Giles Scott is maintaining his position in fourth.
And he's sailing conservatively. There's a few people who will take a chance here towards the end of this leg because otherwise their day's over. They're going to be packing it up.
You got to roll some dice, I reckon.
I think so.
Okay, so we're going up the third leg of the quarterfinals of the Star Sailors League. They go up to the top and then down one more leg to finish, and it's getting pretty tasty and exciting. And really the format of this whole competition is based on an ATP tennis tournament where you have the qualifiers, the quarters, semis and finals, and you can see that the drama is unfolding before our eyes because 4 of these guys are not going to get through.
I saw that Robert Schleit tacked out of the left. He came up and closed the distance up to the poles. He must have thought the right was coming good a little bit. And Mittelblatt, we know he's fast upwind, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him pass the poles.
Okay, well, Kuznerovic and Zitsky with Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada just edging their way back into the middle of the racetrack, and these guys are going to race it out together and stay together. I don't think they're going to mix it up. They're not going to get into any trouble together because they don't need to. They know that they're at the front of the fleet, and so they're controlling the rest of the pack behind them. Mendelblatt and Farty, they're in their own little piece of breeze. They're playing it cool, cards close to their chest as they sail their own race, and I wouldn't be surprised if they get to that top mark first. It's a possibility, Dennis. They're very, very fast upwind, and the first 2 days of this regatta, they had a stranglehold in terms of results, and they look like the danger men going through to the semis, but incredibly, Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom, who we're not seeing on this picture, which is quite cool. They're standing by, watching what's going on. But for the first couple of days, it was Mendelblatt and Farty.
This could be a disadvantage not to see what was going on the course. And all of a sudden, I see the right coming good. I think the wind's going big time to the right. We're seeing the poles take command over Robert. And Mendelblatt moving up on the head and behind line. So the right looks good now, and the people on the left are going to be in trouble.
Wow. A dramatic race for the final. In the Nassau Yacht Club, we have some of the youngsters who've been out sailing with some of the athletes who didn't make the quarterfinals, and they've gone for some joy rides out there on the Nassau Sound, and all of them enthusiastic, fascinated in what we're doing. It's nice to see you young chaps, and salute you. And here we are with the legend, Mr. Dennis Connor, in the studio of the Nassau Yacht Club, and we are watching the big drama unfold. Dennis.
Mendelblatt out of the right, passing the poles, as I suggested, and there he goes right ahead of Robert too. So the right-hand side paid off here. Freddie Loof will be sorry he missed the action and doesn't know what the shifts really are like.
Well, you're going with that theory, Dennis. Freddie himself seemed pretty happy. I suppose he's not going to say, no, it's a terrible thing to get a bye to the semis, but you could well be right. And just look at this, Mendelblatt and Farty going for it.
He's fast upwind in this medium conditions in the 12-15 knot winds. We saw him dominate the first 2 days of the racing, so it's no surprise to me to see him quick in this. You know, they're using a little different brand of sails too. I think they've got the Mark Reynolds sails on, and Robert's going with Vince Brune.
Wow, some technical insight there. And I know Mark Reynolds is probably watching this at home. We could cut to our studio camera, Andy. Yo, Mark Reynolds at home watching this. Good to see you. Big up from me and Dennis and all you Star Sailors watching this, and all you sailing fans. I know we have a lot of people in Germany watching, Dennis. So guten Tag, alles in Deutschland. And for the Italians, hallo. I can't speak any Italian, but it's great to have you guys with us. Let's back to the racing, Andy. And here it is, unfolding before our eyes, the traffic going up around the course, and there is Robert Scheid in the same frame as Maciej Kuznerovic and Dominik Zitsky from Poland, but Mendelblatt and Farty beginning to look fairly comfortable going upwind. On virtual eye, we can just see them all strung out in a line. At the moment, advantage Mendelblatt and Farty.
Doesn't look like Robert has anything special going on upwind. So in these conditions, I think that Mendelblatt, The practice there that he's had from the first day is paying off. He looks quick.
Okay, Virtual Eye giving us the entire fleet there, all 10 boats. It is a little bit like a medal race. The new Olympic format, they have a 10-boat medal race. Different tactics come into play. We will be talking to Luke Patience a little bit later, who's a silver medalist in the 470 class and who didn't make the qualifiers, unfortunately, another VIP guest. We'll talk to Luke in a moment. But for now, staying with Dennis, here we are looking at the top three, looking fairly comfortable going through, but you never know. There's one more downwind leg to go, and really, as they go round the top mark, we're going to be focusing on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th place guys. Negri and Lambertenghi just inside the comfort zone, but there's only about 12 meters between them and Johannes Polgar and Marcus Coy with their borrowed mainsail. So pretty dramatic here. Zarif and Björning have got some work to do. So has the reigning world champion Robert Staniak with Klaus Olesson from Denmark, and so has the Finn sailor Ivan Gaspic sailing with Ante Sitchich. And those guys have got an awful lot of work to do. 166 meters behind the leader, and it would be a small miracle if they could pull that off. We will see. Things happen on the racetrack, Dennis.
Looks like Scott is going to control the people on the left. He's going to have a good race. He's going to be in the top 5, and he's going to go on through here. So we know that Freddie Loof, we've got Schleit, we've got Mendelblatt, and Scott. Who's going to be joining us in this top 5?
Well, Michel from the Star Sailors League are just telling me that Kuznirevich and Jitsky, Mendelblatt and Fatih, Scheid and Prada are the 3 guys who ended up on the podium last year, Dennis.
They like taking that money off Michel.
Okay, well, just to remind viewers, you know, sensationally in sailing, where really we don't normally have any prize money whatsoever, there's $200,000 on the table and $40,000 for the winner.
I mean, it really means a lot to these guys. It's not just the pride of the competition, but that money really makes a difference when you go home and see the wife.
Yeah, you know, in sailing, you know, maybe Russell Coutts has done all right out of it, you know, but for the rest of the sailors, it's, you know, it's a hard profession. Money doesn't come rolling in, unless you're Dennis Conner, of course.
I was thinking of buying a few barns in the middle of England and seeing how you do with the cows and the horses in the pasture.
Well, that's it, Dennis. I was just saying, I was extolling the virtues of beautiful Somerset in England, where we live. But anyway, back to the racing. Dennis, good man. I love keeping it light. Scheid and Prada beginning to get a control of the race with Kuznirevich and Jitsky. Giles Scott just dropping down behind the Frenchman into 5th. But really, it's all going to be about Scott and Milne, Negri and Lambertenghi, Polgar and Coy as they go round this mark and down towards the bottom. There is Virtual Eye showing us the boats going up towards that cone. Polgar and Coy looking like they've overstood it slightly. Maybe there's another wind shift out there.
They don't have far to go right now, so there's not going to be a big change. And the race is pretty much decided right now. You can just take those 5 guys. There's not going to be any big changes downwind, and we can get a little bit bigger picture of who's going through.
Well, possibly. You know, between 6th and 7th, right now, 51 meters to 86. By my fabulous mathematics, that is some 30 meters or more between those two. So at the moment, it's 30 meters between who goes forward and who doesn't. That is, you can make that up downwind, Dennis.
Well, I don't think I could. I was never that fast downwind. I won't say it can't be done, but these fin sailors, they've got a lot of magic downwind.
Precisely. Well, Negri and Lambertenghi right now are in the danger position in 6th. They're going through at the moment, but Polgar and Coy will be giving it absolutely everything they've got going into this final leg. Let's join our live shot now as the boats approach that top mark. We are positioned towards the spreader mark with our America's Cup camera, and we're looking at Jitsky, the pole, with Kuznirevich, bow number 8, tacking around that mark with a nice little lead over Mendelblatt and Fatih in 2nd, Scheid and Prada right on the heels of the Americans. For 2 laps, there is almost nothing between these top 3. And they look comfortable, they look calm. These are some of the best sailors in any class in the entire world of sailing right now. And we're looking at the top 3 who made that podium last year. And there they are, coming around the top mark. Little reach to the spreader mark. And the middle fleet go around the Italians there. So there we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that row. At the moment, those are the guys going through to the semi-finals. It doesn't actually matter who wins this race, Dennis.
No, but Middleblatt and Robert Scheid almost had a little incident at that last weather mark. Middleblatt wasn't laying the buoy with ease, almost hit the buoy, and when he headed up to go around, and Robert got a little close to him, and I thought that Middleblatt could have put his stern right in Robert's bow there, and that would have caused some drama.
It would indeed. Well, Scott and Milne going round. There is Negri and Lambertenghi right on the heels. The Germans, Johannes Polgar with Marcus Coy, and right behind them, George Zarif and Henry Björning. So these guys here with Robert Staniek and Klaus Olesen, they've got the chasing to do right now. They are not going through to the semi-finals, and we will focus on that race as we go downwind. And the Croatians bringing up the rear, Ivan Gaspic with Ante Sitcic. Unfortunately, it's not going to go their way today. I don't think a miracle is going to happen out there on the racetrack for the fantastic Ivan Gaspic, who is the 2nd in the world at the moment in the Finn class, jumping into the Star, getting into the quarterfinals and doing a pretty good job of it. But I think that's probably the end of the story for these guys. We have one more leg. They're all racing now down towards the finish line, and really Negri and Lambertenghi are managing just to hold off Zarif and Björning. Now, if George Zarif and Henry Björning can overtake the Italians on this leg, that would be a absolute sensation, Dennis.
I don't think there's much chance of it because the wind is switched a little bit to the right, so port tack jive well favored. There's not going to be a lot of room to separate. So they're all sailed down to the finish line now on port, and the race is going to be over pretty quickly now.
Okay, well, they're picking up speed. We're just looking at the Italian boats, Negri and Lambertenghi. They just got to keep it cool, play it cool. They are just inside the cut at 6th position. The top 6 going through now to the semi-final. It's getting exciting. Let's see how Negri and Lambertenghi deal with that pressure. They are consummate star sailors, consummate sailors, and they were 2nd at the World Championship this year. And there they go, smooth as silk, playing the wind, playing the waves, just getting into that rhythm, really moving these boats around, Dennis.
The rules are relaxed here at the Star Sailors League is from a standpoint of rocking, ooching, pumping, really working the boat. So this is a real example of how body kinetics can really make your boat go faster. Not every class enables you to do this.
Okay, well, coming into our shot now, Zarif and Björning. There is the story, Adam. Those 2 boats. Can Zarif and Björning overtake the Italians? It looks like Polgar and Coy are beginning to get into the action as well on virtual eye. They are now some 10 meters behind. So let's find Polgar and Coy on our virtual eye. We can see the top 6 there in that little group. If we pull out a little bit wider, whoa, Polgar and Coy taking a flyer down the right-hand side, Dennis.
It could pay off. It could pay off, but still pretty much one-sided right to the finish. There's not much time left.
Not much time at all. Polgar and Coy up into 7th position now, and mathematically they've overtaken Zarif and Björning. So Polgar and Coy are fighting for their lives in this competition right before our very eyes, hammering downwind, trying to take a scalp of the Italians, Negri and Lambertenghi. Giles Scott and Stevie Milne looking good in 5th, but Polgar and Coy have just done it mathematically. Johannes Polgar and Marcus Coy have just taken the Italians, hammering downwind. They've got outside the traffic. They've got a bit of clear air. They're going to kind of have to come back into it, Dennis. but they're rolling the dice and it's working.
Well, the wind shift helped them a little bit there. Their right-hand shift gave them a better angle to the finish line.
Well, we can cut to our live camera, and there is Johannes Polgar and Marcus Coy taking on the Italians. That is the story in the quarterfinals. Those two boats, one of them is going to go through, Dennis Connor, and we can see this story unfold before our very eyes, and it's a sensation, and the Germans are working it for all they've got, and it looks like they have just taken the Italians.
Well, it may come down just to who gets that last wave and gets that last big surge. You see how much the boats take off when they catch that wave. So
we're going to stay with this shot, Adam, because this is the entire story at the moment of the quarterfinals. One of these guys is going to go through, one of these teams, and one of these teams is not going to go through. I would say, without trying to predict anything too much, that the top 5 there through. It's going to be down to these two guys here, these two teams. Who is going to work this last little section of leg number 4 to the finish line? And it's cool, it's happening in front of our eyes.
Be very difficult to pick who's going to win between these two boats, surging back and forth on every wave.
Let's quickly join Louis Habib, the eyes and ears out on the water. We're going to stay with this 2-boat shot, Adam. Louis, what can you see with your eyeballs?
Well, yeah, earlier on, the Croatians, Gaspic and Sitic, they actually copped a penalty at the bottom mark in that big ball of boats, and that's what's taken them out of it. But probably the really decisive factor during that last beat was actually by Scott and Milne. Scott and Milne, when the right-hand shift came, Scott and Milne didn't go. They didn't go for about 5 boat lengths, and they took out Polgar and Coy and Zarif and Boning and put them out of the running, and that's what caused that gap. Negri and Lambertenghi were in 6th, but basically the action of Scott and Milne not to tack when the shift came took out Polgar, Coy and Zarif and Boning. So some real battles going on, particularly at the back of the fleet, and Scott and Milne caused that gap. Unfortunately, the penalty to the Croatians has taken them out of it. But what a fantastic fight back by Polgar and Coy. And it's going to be fascinating to see how this pans out. Impossible to tell from just looking at it. But you've got the numbers there on Virtual Eye, Digby.
Thanks, Louis. Well, we are looking right at Virtual Eye right now, and it's fascinating. Negri and Lambertenghi battling with Zarif and Björning, Scheid and Prada not going so fast downwind in 5th place. Polgar and Coy just dropping behind Zarif and Björning. So the battle now is between George Zarif and Henry Björning and the Italians who are coming into it. Can the young Brazilian make the semi-final? There on the leaderboard, it looks like they're neck and neck. They are swapping the lead for 6th and 7th position before our very eyes. We will keep this on virtual just for a second because we can see mathematically that Zarif and Björning are in the hunt. They're in the hunt now. The boat's beginning to compress and come together, and it's going to be millimeters on that finish line, Dennis.
I'm sure it's very exciting. They're right on the edge. They can't do anything more. They're trying their hardest. Every ounce of their body and will is trying to make this boat get down the finish faster.
Well, Adam, let's work our way from the front of the fleet. There we see Kuznirovic and Zitsky with the Americans, Mendelblatt and Fatih. And then let's move back along the fleet, Adam. Moving to the right, Xavier Rohart with Scott and Milne in that frame. The French looking good, as are the Brits. Scheid and Prada are in 5th position now. That is bow number 5. And there's the finish. The Poles comfortably through, followed by Mendelblatt and Fatih. Rohart and Ponsard, I think, just got it over Scheid and Prada. Ah, he's through. George Zarif is through to the final. Polgar and Coy, put the results back on, please. Sorry. Oh, it sounds like Diego Negri has broken a pole. Bosh. goodness me, Zarif and Björning on that last finish line in the last meters of the quarterfinals have just got through to the semis, Dennis. That is a sensation. The world champ, he's out. Polgar and Coy are out. Negri and Lambertengi are out. Gaspic and Sitchich are out. Wow, that was pretty sensational. I'll tell you what, John from Virtual Eye, let's see if we can do a little replay, a virtual replay from about halfway down that beat, down the run. Let's have a little analysis of how George managed to pull that one off, because it was rather hard to see. Even Louis, with his eyeballs, was finding that hard to see. So we'll cue that up in a moment. Dennis Connor is leaving the building. Good on you, Dennis. Thanks, mate. Great stuff. I am now joined by Luke Patience, silver medalist in the 470 class. Great to see you, Luke. We can wave hello to everybody. Hello. Hello. Hi, Mum. All that kind of stuff.
Hey, Mum.
Cool. So you were watching that, sitting next to Dennis. That's a pretty sensational result for George.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's funny watching it, actually, because you get a real sense for the how much it swaps, and this sport will forever be about downwind speed. It'll forever be about that, because you're not going through the wind, you're not having the shifts and the gusts past you, you're traveling with it. So if you've got downwind speed, you're a king in this sport, and Zarif proved that there in that last run.
I just can't believe that. Well, we're going to queue up a little replay focusing on George Zarif. We can I think we can cut into that now. So we're replaying the final leg. We're about halfway down, and we fired up the two boats of Zarif and Björning, Polgar and Coy. And let's just analyse what Zarif and Björning are doing. So they've got a bit of clear air behind them. Luke, you're the expert. You're the Olympic silver medalist. You talk us through this a little bit.
Well, I think that you can see from the shot that he is clear air, as you said, and actually, down here where Polgar and Coy are, you are restricted from some of your angles. He'll be looking around and thinking, well, I can't head up too much. I have the fleet there, and he's more restricted in his lanes. Zarif doesn't have that at all. He's just totally creative. He's living the dream. He's swerving the boat around, and he's just doing it as the ocean allows him. And so he's sailing with far more freedom and putting the boat where he wants to. There's no restrictions.
Well, Negri and Lambertengi also in that mix, fighting for their life. But we're looking at those three, Polgar and Coy, fighting out with Negri and Lambertengi beginning to engage together.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and they're slowing each other down because of that. And Zarif doesn't have that pressure. At this point, I imagine Negri and Polgar and Coy, they're thinking about beating each other. Yes. And they're distracted from actually the real threat is over here where Zarif and Björning are. And
Zarif and Björning, just looking at their track, they've got big freedom of movement. They're moving far, making much far wider curves here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's still long port. You can see that's where all the boats finish through the line, and they are totally in a checkmate position. Zarif is going, checkmate, guys. What are you going to do about that?
Oh, big respect to George Zarif. He's 22, a Finn sailor. Yeah.
I didn't know he was 22.
Or 24, perhaps. Okay. I'll double check on my maths in a minute.
Getting old then.
But here we go. Here we go. Here's George. He's managed to get clear of the danger men. Negri and Lambertengi in trouble. Polgar and Coy in trouble. The first two across the line. 3, 4, 5.
Look how tight it is.
That is so tight.
It's just so
Zarif's got it by, I don't know, half a boat length.
Yeah.
A boat length.
Yeah.
Bosh. Just taken out the Germans. Bosh. Just taken out the Italians. Bosh. Just taken out the Croatians. Hey, oh, what a result. That is two Finn sailors jumping through to the semi-final. Who'd have thunk it?
Who'd have thunk it? He's they just love this downwind sailing, and they're in their element, these boys. Giles and Zarif, they're big, strong lads. They spend their life, they're professional downwind pumpers. That is their job, and it shows here today.
Okay, so when they go to their business card, manufacturer, underneath their name, professional downwind pumper.
That's it. I would. I definitely would.
Why not? Yeah, I like it. Okay, well, it's good fun here in the studio in the Nassau Yacht Club. I wonder if Quinn if you could just operate that camera for a sec, live on our little stream, you can pick the whole thing up and just, this is me and Luke, Heidi ho. Right next to me is Andy, our vision mixer. Doing a great job, Gemma Kerr. And I just wanted to spin round and say hi to John Rendell and Ben and all the kids who have been sailing stars, from the guys who have been knocked out. Yo, big up, we're streaming live. You guys have just been out sailing with some of the world champions and gold medalists and Olympic champions. And give us a big thumbs up to everyone at home. Woohoo! Okay, rock and roll. Thanks, dudes. Nice. Have you taken any youngsters out?
I'm doing that after this.
Okay,
yeah.
Sweet. Well, stay with us, would you?
I will.
For the
I can do
semis?
that
I think that would be
indeed.
really cool. Okay, so Andy, I think we should try and have a little chat to Loué Habib out there on the water. We're having a look at the race committee boat. Loué, are you receiving us?
We most certainly are, Digby. Down to just straightforward business first. The top mark has been taken up and the spreader, so they may well be moving that. Secondly, just so you know, although that was the same course, effectively upwind, downwind twice, there is no leeward gate. There is just one leeward mark. So that's caused that massive bunch up of about 5 boats. So it'll be interesting to see whether they play the same game on the next one. But there was not a gate, so all the boats have to go to one mark on that bottom mark, the end of that downwind leg. As I saw it, Lambertenghi, Negri and Lambertenghi were either jibing or pumping in, and they stuffed it up. I mean, royally. The pole went in the water, it snapped in half, the boat went out of control and literally stalled. And, you know, that one bad manoeuvre or whatever happened, that's cost them a few $1,000 to say the least. So that's the news from the race course. We haven't got any flags yet, so we're waiting for them to lay the top mark, and you can almost not guarantee. There's a very good chance it'll be just one mark at the bottom of the downwind, which could be a very interesting ball of boats once again, Digby.
Okay, thanks, Loué. Good observations there. I was so busy concentrating on the story that I didn't see that they only had one mark for the downwind.
Well, it keeps it a whole lot closer. You know, there's not the gate, so there's the split in the fleet. You know, it gets everyone round the same mark. It keeps it exciting, and that's why we saw those 4 boats of that first lured mark come down together. So I hope they do it again.
Hey, Luke, I wanted to ask you, as an Olympic athlete and a successful one at that, the Olympic format goes into the big fleets and everything, and then they have a medal race at the end. It's a new format. It's pretty much designed for television and viewers at home, almost as this is. What difference does it make when you get down to 10 boats like this?
It's wildly different. You know, a runner who runs a 100-meter sprint is not suited to running 800 meters, you know, and when you're racing 30, 35, 40 boats and then suddenly you're racing 10, the dynamic's completely different. So there are a few things that we kind of think about. One of them is we've often found, certainly in the 470, that you take a lot of control by being to one end of the start line, you know, not constricted by the middle of the course. You have options to get the boat going. You can tack off if you need to, you can drop the bow if you need to. But it's a different mentality. It's a much more, you know, it lends itself to the boat speed, because if you can just take control, be on one side and go fast, that's often enough. You know, it's not as complex as trying to herd 35 other boats and keep control. Control is a massive deal in smaller fleets.
Okay, control. That is a good word. I can get my head around that, because now we're going into 7 boats. So you're one of the 7, let's say, Luke, on that start line. It's a 3 short of the Olympic medal race. So talk about control a bit with 7 boats.
Well, control often comes from giving yourself maximum options. You know, there is still 7 other boats. You can't literally control every boat, but what you can do is put yourself, like I said earlier, where you say checkmate. So you put yourself in a place where the other boats around you will have to do something extra special to pass where you are. So I think in this situation here, you know, left-hand track has been paying more often than not. I would look to be on that side of the fleet. I think in this venue here, I would look to be pin end start, have the fleet on my right-hand side, and get the boat going fast. And that would be my first element of that's control.
Okay, good insight. We will have that thought as we go into the next race. Very quickly, Louis Habib, what's the story? How far off do you think we are towards the semi-final of the Star Sailors League finals?
Yeah, well, Digby, basically they have laid one of the top marks, I presume the top mark. Can't see a spreader up there yet, so I think we're still a little way off. The start line has been laid, and we're having a fantastic discussion on board as to who's going to be the 4 that go through here from the Magnificent 7. And there's a lot of disagreement, I can tell you that. I'm not going to name names. We'll, you know, what goes on Maisie stays on Maisie. But you know, there's a lot of disagreement about, you know, who's going to be the top 4. But you know, you've got 7 teams out there for this next race, and quite frankly, they're not fantastic. They're all awesome. You know, so it's really difficult to tell. Obviously, there's a few favourites, but you know, it could really go any way. But at the moment, Digby, we do not have a top line laid, although they've just called to order. So maybe there is a mark up there. I don't think we're too far off a start, Digby.
Well, that is the attention call. So we're under 6 minutes now. The next hooter we hear will be the 5-minute gun. So I think we'll roll through it with Luke Patience, the silver medalist in the 470 fleet. Luke Lawrence is joining us as well. You can have a little seat and watch what's going on, and swap halfway through the race perhaps. And the 2 Lukes.
The Luke 2 Lukes.
Yo, you can have a little wave there. Look, oh, we're all in. Woohoo! Hello. Okay, so let's go back to the live shot. We're about to see the 5-minute flag go up. The red star on the white flag. Sharon, the race. Everything under. Bingo. 5 minutes to the start of the semi-final of the Star Sailors League. Now, rather interesting now, Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom joined the story. They had a bye. They leapfrogged the quarterfinals, having won the 9 races of the qualifiers, and 9 crews are not competing today. We've just seen 4 get wiped out, and they're heading back home with prize money. I have to say they've done okay. They've made the final day. They've made the cut. That has been the story of the past 3 days. So they've done okay, but these guys are in the semi-finals, and we start to get into a bit of cash now, Luke, which is unusual in sailing. How much motivation do you think that is going to give these guys?
Oh, I think, you know, this event has been absolutely fantastic, and to get cash prize is an added bonus. You know, these guys are here, they want to win, and it's not for money. They want to win because they want to beat their peers, beat who they compete against. You know, and right now, I'd love to be you know, hearing what Giles and Stevie Milne are talking about on their boat, because they should, anything from now is a bonus, and they should be going into this race with nothing to lose. You know, they've had a great week, they've had a great race there, and you know, give it hell, lads, give it hell.
Hey, just very quickly pass the mic to Luke Lawrence, 24. He's another VIP guest, J24 world champion this year as tactician. And he's another Finn sailor, won the Finn Junior Worlds. Luke, what's your read on it? Luke Lawrence.
This is one of the coolest places I've ever been to go and sail. This event is pulling together incredibly. I think throwing the money on top of it is, like Luke just said, it's an added bonus, but we're all here to race. We're all here to try and give a crack at winning. Sucks for us that we got eliminated, but we're here and we get to learn a little bit from watching these guys, because these are the best of the best.
Very nicely put, the best of the best. It sucks for you, but it's a complete bonus for us and the viewers at home, because we get a little bit of insight analysis. Handing the mic now back to Luke Patience. The two Lukes, and we're watching Giles Scott and Stevie Milne, who have sensationally got into the semi-final of the Star Sailors League here in Nassau in the Bahamas. We have 2 races to go, and we can see from Virtual Eye, if we cut to Virtual Eye, just about 2 minutes to go towards that start. Scott and Milne just working their way above the line, looking around, figuring it out. Scheid and Prada, they're looking towards the left-hand side of the track, working their way back towards the pin end. It'll be fascinating to see where Scheid and Prada start their race. And over on the right-hand side, Xavier Rohat and Pierre-Alexis Pensot from France with Zarif and Björning. Oh, George Zarif and Henry Björning, stars of the day, getting through to that semi-final at the last post. That was very, very cool indeed. We'll chat to George a little bit later, and Rohard and Pensot right there. And there's Kuznirovic and Jitsky, the danger men, the quiet Poles, just dangerously working their way in the middle. And here's the newcomer, Loof and Ekstrom. They've sat that last race out. They had the bye. Now they're on the racetrack. We're coming up to a minute, and I'm with Luke Patience. What can you see, Luke?
Well, I just wonder if Mendelblatt, Scheidt and Loof are playing a bit of games with each other. You know, they're probably the quicker boats. I know the Polish guys had a race win last race, but you just never know. If these guys play games with each other, slow each other down, that opens the door for the likes of Scott and Rohar over here in the starboard end, and perhaps maybe that's their way in.
Well, we're going to stay with Virtual Eye just for another 15 seconds or so because it's fascinating to see this view of the start. Rohart and Pensot the furthest right. Scott and Milne just tacking over onto starboard. Very nice, Giles Scott. He's a great sailor, great tactician. And Zarif and Björning. So we've got 2 Finn sailors in the mix there. And let's just see what kind of start. Scott has got a bit of space down below him. So is Zarif and Björning. And so is Rohard and Pensot. I think those guys are going to start fast. Luke, Loof and Ekstrom right bang in the middle there. Just working their way up. Trying to get a little space behind them.
Yeah. And here is, like, you can see the bunch at the pin end. Mendelblatt there looks like he's doing a late acceleration. I'm not sure how that will go for him because the Brazilians have just popped out the line down there. So we'll see if Mendelblatt can get up to speed. He started where I kind of thought from sitting here in our booth, maybe where I'd like to be, but we don't have the advantage of seeing the wind from in here.
No, we don't, but we have this fantastic picture as the Frenchmen tack over onto port nearest the camera. Xavier Rohart, Pierre-Alexis Pensot. They're not passengers in this competition by any means whatsoever. And right on their hip, they have Giles Scott and Stevie Milne hammering away up the beat. We can cut very quickly to virtual just to give us a little idea of the spread across the line. Scheid and Prada going for that left-hand side and Kuznirovic in the middle. So fascinating to see if the guys who are heading right have got something in their back pocket, if they've seen something further up the track that is going to happen in the future.
Yeah, well, it also, you know, right now we've got Mendelblatt in first. He was the left-hand boat. We've potentially got a left-hand shift. Everyone's on port. The boats that are ahead are the boats that are on the left of the track. But that's no bad thing for Scott and Rohart, because the next thing is left at the minute. The next thing it's going to be is in the right phase, and that's when they'll come back into play. So they're in a safe position, a reasonably controlled position, and we'll see if it comes back.
So it's early days in the semi-final. I would say nobody had an absolute shocker on that start line.
No, it doesn't look like it. Although Freddie at the minute looks quite bows back on who have we got up there. Number 5 is that Zarif. Yeah, no, Zarif's VOP. So we've got Scheidt. Just looks like he's pushing over Freddie Loof there. But when we'll see that on the real picture, we'll get a better sense for it.
Okay, so we can cut back to our live shots, and there is the fleet, the entire fleet pretty much. The Frenchmen hammering up the right-hand side with the Brits, managing to get, looks to me like the weather gauge, to use a naval term, over the Les Français.
Mais oui.
We like that as two proud Brits here. Scotland and English together, united, we stand.
Go on, Giles.
Yeah.
With his Irishman in the front.
With
although
his
it's a Northern Irishman, so he would consider
part
himself
of
a
the
Brit.
United Kingdom.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right.
So is Scotland still.
So is Scotland, and that was a proud day for all of us. But I would hate to see the split of our great union, I must say, personally.
No comment.
Ah!
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Good
It's
joke.
fine.
Okay, mate. So we're looking at the live shot. Giles Scott and Stevie Milne in 6th position. Rohart and Ponceau mathematically in 7th. But that is a little deceptive, virtual eye mathematically, because we don't know what the shifts are doing out there. Let's join Louis Habib just for a minute for a little insight. Louis, you're the eyes and ears on the water. What are you sensing?
Well, first of all, I think you two can stop your sectarian stuff going on there. I think the news from the start there was Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom had a really glam position to the right side of the ball of boats at the pin, but in came Zarif and Boning, taking out that leeward spot, and Loof was caught basically in a Brazilian sandwich between Robert Scheidt and George Zarif, and he couldn't live there. They squeezed him out, and that's why he's gone out the back of the pack there. Claude Bonini has just told me, he says that's really left a foot race on this beat between Robert Scheidt, Bruno Prada and Medenblatt and Fatty, and you know, they look pretty good, but the French, they hung back. They made it quite clear they were going to go on the right hand side, as did Scott and Milne over here, so they like the right, but I have to say that Freddie Loof has come in cold and he's caught one out the back there. So it was a cracking start with some just superb stuff going on, but I'm afraid the Swedes really got done up by a Brazilian sandwich there.
Thank you, Louis. Good insight. Well, rather interestingly, Dennis Conner in the quarterfinals was saying he would rather have raced if he was Loof and Ekstrom. And the reason they went for this buy, this leapfrog, was that Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada last year, they wiped the floor with the entire fleet during the first 3 days, and they thought, well, you know, we've done so well, we're not really getting any advantage going into the quarterfinals. So the sailors amongst themselves chatted away, and they decided, okay, well, let's put this little leapfrog in, this little advantage for winning the 9 first races, the first 3 days of the entire fleet racing amongst themselves, and maybe that is going to pay off. I don't know, maybe that's going to be a disadvantage.
Well, you see it in other sports, don't you? They often, if you make that cut, you leapfrog to the next stage. I'm in two minds. I mean, ultimately this sport's soaking. The only disadvantage is with these boats, man, does it hurt the old legs hiking all day and the muscles. So he's maybe coming fresh physically, but he's slightly less practiced on the day. Maybe he's less in tune. I don't know, but that's, I think, Dennis's point there.
That was Dennis's point. Well, we will find out fairly soon, and the argument will be resolved for us by Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom themselves. And right now, they are going left up the track, and there we're seeing Robert Scheidt, Bruno Prada, the defending champions, with their distinctive Banco de Brazil hats on and flying their sponsor's flag. And why not? We all have to earn a living, and if you can cadge a nice sponsor, good for you, man, good for you. So there are the fellow Brazilians, George Zarif and Henry Björning, sensationally in this semi-final, looking pretty good at the moment, I would say.
Yeah, they are, and they're just, I mean, they were so pleased when they finished the last race, fists in the air, cheering. They've come in like Giles, nothing to lose, in great spirits. You know, they're really enjoying themselves. They're dangerous men, I'd say, right now.
Well, George, I mean, he's 22. He's a Finn Junior World Champ in 2009 and 2013, and he's a World Champion as well in the Finn. So, I mean, already at such a young age, he is a class act. And his fellow Brazilians have been chatting to me, you know, over the last few days, and saying he's the guy to watch in Brazil. He is the future Robert Scheidt. And George himself, a very humble, nice guy, and he was chatting away before the championship, saying that, of course, he looks up to the likes of Torben Grail with 5 medals, and Robert Scheid with 5 medals, and Bruno Prada with his golds. So this guy has come from a pedigree country in the Olympics, just as Britain is, and these guys are in the most successful Olympic sport in Brazil, which is sailing. And fair play, and Robert Scheid, pretty much a household name in Brazil. We filmed an amazing little feature with Robert Scheid with Felipe Massa, the Formula One driver. We went to the Williams Formula One factory. Formula One, of course, a bigger sport than sailing, but each to his own, as we say. And we are now in the drama of the semi-finals of the Star Sailors League, and it's a real privilege to have Luke Patience right next to me, commentating on this. Scott and Milne beginning to fall back.
Yeah. I mean, if I had a bit more room here, I'd do a little weather dance for the gods. I'm praying to get some right-hand phase here for Giles. He's just a little bit back at the minute. I don't know what's going on in that there, but if we can get a bit of right shift, the leverage that he's got, it's going to wind him back into the fleet. So come on, Mother Nature, give us something.
You can be patriotic, fair enough. I shall be purely, perfectly objective as the commentator. However, I must say that Sir Ben Ainslie is going to win the next America's Cup in 2017,
obviously.
And Giles Scott is probably going to be on board, because Ben Ainslie has employed his training partner in the Olympics, Giles, as part of the Ben Ainslie racing team for the America's Cup. They're building this huge base down on the south coast of Britain in Portsmouth, and they're going to be firing on all cylinders when they hit the Bermudan racetrack in 2017, which is quite an interesting prospect. But a little bit aside there, I'm weaving off piste a little bit, Luke. I can't help it.
That's
and,
okay.
It's all sailing. I'm still gunning my Volvo Team SCA hat. We can fire that up. That's got to be worth a quick mention there. Go girls in the Volvo Ocean Race. They need all the help they can get. And you're gunning something as well. Is this a little sponsor of you?
No, well, this is the Zeit gear that we have with the British sailing team. So I'm just flying the kit from my 470 days.
On the side, UK Sport lottery funded.
Yeah,
lottery
absolutely.
funded. Good old lottery.
Keep playing the lottery, everyone. We appreciate it every day.
Yeah, keep gambling, kids. Okay, back to Virtual Eye.
Yeah.
Just joking around in the studio. We're getting towards, as we say, the business end of leg number 1, towards that top mark, and that's when the apples fall out of the trees.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about control earlier. Mendelblatt has control. He keeps putting himself in a place of checkmate. He started at the pin end. The breeze lended itself to that left-hand side. He got his tack in, he got across. It's no surprise he's still sat here in first, and that's obviously on the Virtual Eye. We don't know exactly, but he's covering his bases. He's pushing the fleet out towards that left ley line. This is control. This is we're watching control every moment of the race right now from Mendelblatt. It's very impressive.
So if you were on that racetrack, you'd want to be where Mark Mendelblatt is right now, yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing to say that perhaps the boats on the right here, Scheid, Rohart, Scott, will come back to it, but if nothing else, he's still ahead of the 3 to the left of him, and that's what control is. You can't control the guys over here, but you can control the guys underneath your boom, and he's doing that just perfectly. Textbook.
Oh, good insight. Thank you, Luke. Patience, silver medalist in the 470 class, gunning for Rio as well, like a load of these guys. Scheid going for the laser, Scott going for the fin, Loof obviously not going for the star, Mendelblatt and Fatih, but Kuznirovic in there, he's a gold medalist as well, with Zitsky. We've got some legends here on this racetrack, and they are now just about to hit the port ley line going up, and Mendelblatt, as Luke tells me so perfectly, is controlling this fleet. Loof and Ekstrom still in the mix. They are now in the semi-final. They are in business, and remember, only the top four go through to that final. So anyone in 5th, 6th and 7th gets an early dinner.
Yeah, and we talked about the downwind. Loof and Ekstrom are back in the race. They had jets on them downwind. I mean, we rounded just a wee bit behind them in a couple of the races yesterday, and I couldn't see them by the lured marks. They just put on the burners and they were gone. And that's all they need to do here. We might see everything swap around in this first run.
Well, Scheid and Prada in 5th position at the moment, with the number 5 on their bow, just tacking over to port. They've managed to tack in front of the Frenchmen Rohart and Ponceau. Scott and Milne out of our shot, but we'll see them fairly soon as these guys converge and head around that top mark. There's a top mark and then a little spreader mark, and that's where we find out exactly who is in the lead and who is in last place and the running order. That is mathematically the picture as we see it going up towards that top mark. Mendelblatt and Fatih in perfect control of this race. This is a bit of a masterclass from Mendelblatt and Fatih, and perhaps halfway down the run, John from Virtual Eye, we can replay this leg, which is pretty fascinating to use it as an analytical tool as well. So let's rejoin our live shot as these guys go around the top mark. Beautiful sailing by Mendelblatt and Fatih, and there's Kuznirovic and Zitsky, the Poles, right behind them, playing it safe. This is a stunning performance by the Poles. We haven't really talked about them very much over the last few days, but here they are again. Last year they ended up on the podium, and right now they're looking fairly tasty for going into the finals. Loof and Ekstrom, the Swedes, in third position, and there the Brazilians. That's
a good pullback.
George, again, what is he doing? What has he got up his sleeve? This is a sensation to see the young Brazilian up there in fourth position. These are the top three going round now. The Swedes in third, and in fourth place we are looking at the youngster. There you can see him helming away, and he's got the legend behind him, Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada right behind him. The two Brazilian teams there in fourth and fifth. Rohart, the bronze medalist in the Star, with Pierre-Alexis Ponceau in fifth position as they spin round sixth, I think.
Right,
and Giles, Scott and Stevie Milne in seventh, bringing up the rear. I would say, again, it's going to take a bit of a miracle for those guys to get into the final. So at the moment, Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada are not making the final, and that is a bit of an upset of the day. But as we all know, Robert Scheid is the maestro, probably one of the best sailors in the entire history of competitive sailing, and probably one of the best downwind sailors we've ever seen in any discipline of sailing. And let's catch up. Adam, if we can try and find bow number 5. You've got 4 and 5 in that shot. There's the jury with the blue hood there. 4 and 5, that's the story.
That's it. I mean, downwind's an amazing thing. You just get in a zone. You're not thinking. It's mechanical. It's robotic. I can't imagine these guys are thinking too much about where they are and where the cut is. It's just a job to do. Get the boat moving fast. Keep it moving fast. And that will be your tool to getting back in the race. And it's a really nice, you're almost in a state of, when you're meditating or something. You're just the world doesn't exist. The thing that exists is the next wave, your sail and your crew, and it's a really nice, peaceful, calm place to be. I imagine that's what they are right now.
Well, it's also much quieter as well, isn't it, going downwind, because you're going with the wind, you're traveling with the wind, a little bit slower than the wind speed on these heavier boats. The sails are just being pushed effectively by the wind, but kinetically they're rolling around and just trying to get everything working. And there is Xavier Rohart from France. He is now an Olympic coach. He is coaching the French Olympic 49er guys and enjoying that very much indeed in Marseille, doing a grand job.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see him roll in the boat here. It's nice and smooth, everything's smooth. These guys just have it so dialed. You know, I was learning the boat the first few races this week, and I was right out of sync, and it's just been amazing for me to watch these guys and how they actually sail it downwind. And I've learnt a heap.
Well, that's a lovely jibe there by Xavier and Pierre-Alexis on the bow. And there they go, smoothly downwind. Can they catch the Brazilians? Let's check Virtual Eye just for a second. Well, if we pull out a little bit wider, we can see the boat speeds on the track. They kind of vary from 5 to 6 to 7, you know, as they catch waves going down. At the moment, it's George Zarif taking his fellow Brazilian Robert Scheid, but there is absolutely nothing in it between them. And look at Zarif George, he's almost playing the same tactic as he did in that last race.
And he was doing it all week as well in the previous 9 races. So he's in his overtaking lane. Maybe this is how he sees it. He goes, right, get me on my own, get me swerving about, and I'm a happy man. And we've seen it twice now. And so is this going to pay for him again? Well, we don't know. But one thing's for sure. He's been in sync with the day. He seems to be sailing the boat fast downwind. And here he is in his little kind of spot. It's the Zarif corner in here.
Good insight. I love it. The Zarif corner. And these guys, all of you, are going to be kind of watching these replays. And, you know, we're all learning as we watch. And it's great. You learn, as you say, every race you do. But this is quite a good analytical tool for all of us sailors and all the youngsters who've been out with some of the star sailors this morning. Youngsters from the National Sailing Academy here in Nassau. And we invited them all out just to have a blast, have a burn, mix it up with some of the top sailors in the world. And I think all of them were really enthusiastic this morning. But look at this guy here. He's only 22 and he's mixing it up with the gods. And right now he is holding off Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada in that very same shot. Oh my goodness. If George can pull this off, I'm going to give him my hat.
Well, I spoke to Giles a couple of days ago. Giles has been in Rio training a bit in his fin, and Zarif was there, and Giles thought Zarif would be out training in his fin and sailing with him. Actually, every day, Zarif was out in a star, getting ready for this regatta. So he's had a bit of time. I don't know if he's been sailing along with Scheidt or any of the other guys, but he seems to be knowing this boat well.
Well, fabulous, fabulous shot there. We can see the story unfold before our eyes. We are looking at the youngster George Zarif, a Finn sailor and a Finn world and junior champ, sailing with Henry Björning. And there in the distance he has Bruno Prada on the foredeck with Robert Scheidt on the helm. Scheidt, the 5 times Olympic medalist, now back in the laser, an absolute legend in this sport, one of the most successful sailors of all time, and he's being squeezed out by the youngster.
He absolutely is. You know, we said at the Zarif corner, he's in there, he's putting the pressure on, and he just jibed, it looks like, actually. So we'll see on these closing stages where he's got to against Scheidt and Prada there.
And if you've just joined us, we are halfway down the run of the semi-finals of the Star Sailors League. Remember, they've got 2 more laps to go, 2 more legs, upwind and then downwind to the finish. So as the golfers say, there's a lot more golf in the hole. There's a lot more racing action to go. But right now, we are seeing the youngster George Zarif holding off Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada downwind in their own territory. This is Robert Scheidt's mastery, his own territories. He's made it his own, this downwind sailing. And George is holding him off just by a few little meters. And we can actually just see it live on our America's Cup cam as they head down towards that bottom mark. It's not a gate. Louis pointed out earlier that the bottom mark is not a gate. It's just a 1 mark down at the bottom, and they will compress as they go around that. And we'll see Scheidt, obviously he has experience. He has the experience of racing under the most extreme competitive pressure in Olympic sailing. And so I would say it would be a miracle if that youngster can beat Scheidt around this racetrack.
Well, stranger things have happened, my friend. Hey, and fortune favours the brave. And right now, it looks like Zarif's playing a pretty brave game. And he seems to be sailing the boat as if this race is as much his as anyone else's. And that's exactly how you should go into these things. And what an opportunity to go alongside some of the greats of our sport and just race the hell out of it and just give it everything you've got and forget the names, forget the accolades, you know, the caliber of these people. Just go, just give it hell, and look at him. He's doing exactly that.
Well, and here's Giles Scott coming into our picture, and he's doing exactly the same thing, and it looks like Giles might be able to squeeze past these guys.
Go on,
what
boy.
A miracle. Go Giles, come on. This is a cool race.
Yeah.
Coming down towards the bottom mark. Remember, we've got 2 more legs. These guys completely compressing towards that bottom mark. We're going to stay with a live shot because it is so, so cool. And there is Freddie Loof All three of those boats
Wow.
behind Freddie have caught up.
Wow.
There's
It's
just
really
a few
close.
tiny meters between them. And Mendelblatt, he's off on his own up the front somewhere. He's through. Let's forget Mendelblatt just for a minute. Let's focus on this little story here. Zaref and Björning, Scheid and Prada, Scott and Milne. They are duking it out. Scott and Milne have just blown away the two Brazilian boats.
He's a dangerous man when he's behind. I've seen him do these kind of things in fin races from miles back, and he pulls it downwind. Once again, we're seeing that the sport lends itself to downwind speed. He's an opportunist. He didn't come round that mark and think it's all done. He came round and thought, right, mate, let's dig deep and let's make this boat go faster than we made it go all week. And look at him. He's on the inside.
Awesome. Mendelblatt and Farty round in first position. They are comfortably away in their clean air. Then it's the Swedes, Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom, and they are followed by Matthias Kuznirovic and Dominic Zitsky, and right behind them the Brits, Giles Scott and Stevie Milne, and then he has the two Brazilians, the youngster George ahead of Robert Scheid, and there are the Frenchmen bringing up the rear, Rohart and Ponceau in 7th position. Well, the French guys, they've got a bit of work to do now.
Yeah, they do. It is still nose to tail, but with this shorter course, there are fewer passing places. We talked about the control. It's much easier to do that in front in a small fleet. So,
well, there's 40 metres between second and fourth, 40 or so metres. It's not much in it, 60 metres. Let's see how we get on. Upwind, and this is where the back markers can roll some dice. You know, they can go, okay, stuff it, we're going to head, bang a flyer, do something completely different, see if we can pull something out of the back pocket, a rabbit out of the hat. I mean, okay, we're talking analogies here, Luke, but if you were Rohart and Ponceau, what do you think you'd be doing right now? We're talking about Xavier Rohart, Adam, the French boat, just speculating about what the back markers could actually pull out of the hat. Luke.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard. Probably what's happening here is the boats who are in the lead have tacked in the right place for the right reasons, and so have first dibs, as if you like, on the next shift in the gust. But Rohart, he's got to get separation. He's got to find some leverage from somewhere and try and get away from the fleet, so that any small shift that he may get will pull him back into the race. And if he's confident about his downwind speed, he just needs to be in the mix. He doesn't have to be a hero.
Okay, well, Adam was hunting Xavier Rohart with his big camera, and now we can see that shot. So potentially we're not going to see these guys for too much longer in this competition, because they have a lot of work to do to get into that top four. In the distance there, we see Scheid and Prada in 6th. Who would have thunk that one, Luke?
Absolutely, I know. And who knows? I don't know where they are in their heads, if they've got a good lane, if they're where they want to be. But ultimately, you know, this is going to lend itself probably to that cone at the top of the beat where it all compresses. We'll see where they get to. Right now it's a boat speed race. Right now it's about keeping the boats moving, and try to employ some damage on other boats as you get closer.
Well, if Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada don't get to that final, I think that will be quite the upset of the competition, because both Dennis Conner and Bob Fisher picked them as race competition winners. But right now, they're in trouble.
Well, what's the statistics? If you've won before, you're most likely to win again. These things become habitual. But however, you know, Robert, at the beginning of the event, he spoke about this is a new event. Last year was last year. That's fine. Whether the statistics say he's the favourite or not was irrelevant to him, because each day is a new day and he has to keep employing the same skill set, keep the boat moving, do the right things well. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see how this pans out. It'd be good to get a quick shot of the virtual eye and see where people have got to.
Well, okay, we'll come back to that shot in a second, Adam, but we can see Rohart and Ponceau back of the fleet and not looking too strong at the moment. Then Scheid and Prada also in a little bit of trouble here, and this could be the big upset of the championship. This is sport. This is how it goes. It is pretty brutal, and these guys have all decided to make sport a major part of their life, and you live and die by your results and your performance out there. I guess you fly by the seat of your pants when you're competing. I am nowhere near good enough to sail like this. You are, Luke Patience. You've chosen this life to be a competitor, and you kind of love it, right?
I don't think anyone enters sport without knowing that both their greatest fears and the greatest dreams exist in the same arena. It's here on the water, because everything you want is there and everything you don't want is there, and that's an odd concept to kind of live and deal with. But alas, you get used to it. You get used to it. It's normal, and I'm sure for some of these guys, Scheidt and Prada, we've got Rohart at the back. It's just mechanics. Keep it moving. Stay an opportunist. Don't be defeated yet. Stay an opportunity. It's never over till the fat lady sings.
Big time. Bingo. Well put. And so Rohart and Ponceau with a bit of work. Now we're beginning to get some boats coming towards each other. We're going to see some ducks and crosses, and we'll stay with virtual eye just for a second. There's Björning and Zaref just tacking away from Scott and Milne, and let's cut to the live shot now. GBR, Scott and Milne managing to cross ahead of the Poles, Kuzniewicz and Jitsky, and in the distance Robert Scheidt, and there in the frame is Freddie Loof with Anders Ekstrom. Giles Scott, he has the weather gauge. Loof is now going to try and pinch him up. Remember, this camera compresses distance. Let's just cut very quickly to the virtual, and we can see okay, they're right next to each other.
Close,
okay,
yeah.
Let's go back to the real pictures, and Scott and Milne getting squeezed out there from the exhaust of the Swedish boats. And what do you, surely would you not tack away if you were Scott and Milne?
Well, if he's close to the people he needs to be close to, then again, that's enough. The final stages of this race will be downwind, so again, it's just staying in the race. I think, Giles looks like he's lost a few boat lengths, but ultimately he's probably on the right tack for the right reasons, for his right reasons. And if he can just stay with the Swedes, stay with the boats that are going out that way, then that's enough. That's enough control for him.
Well, I think he's getting uncomfortable.
They'll look like they're tacking.
He's looking around. He's saying, "Stuff this. Let's get out of this dirty air. We've lost a few boat lengths there." So I would have said that would be a fairly natural thing to do.
It's probably not easy holding your lane against the Olympic gold medalist in the
Precisely.
class. Yeah,
Precisely.
He's got some jets on him, that boy.
Big time. Loof just firing bullets here, up into second place now. And remember, Freddie Loof sailing with Anders Ekstrom. They sailed together for 7 years, but they haven't sailed together for about 7-8 years. So it's the band getting back together, coming out of retirement almost. Freddie Loof has not sailed a star since winning the gold medal at the London 2012 Games, which was competed down at Weymouth, where I was filming, and Mr. Luke Patience here, silver medalist, was gaining his silver medal. Good man. And that was with Stu, was it?
That was with Stuart Bithell, yeah, that's right. So these guys, the Swedes here, they've relit the old flame, as you said, got the band back together. I thought you're not meant to do that. Go back, relight the flame again, do something that you've done once before.
Nah,
but here
rubbish.
we are, it's happening.
That's rubbish.
And it's good, it's working.
It's the best. Okay, here we go. We're analysing and analoguing and all that kind of stuff. But Scheidt and Prada, let's jump back to virtual for a sec, Andy. Scheidt and Prada.
Wow.
Back of the leaderboard.
Wow.
92 metres, 90 metres behind Mendelblatt and Farty. We're not talking about Mendelblatt. This isn't about Mark Mendelblatt right now. I will be in a few minutes, but right now it's about Rohart and Ponceau, Scheidt and Prada, and Scott and Milne. The four at the top of that leaderboard will go through to the final. The three at the bottom of that leaderboard will not go through to the final, and they're racing for their very existence in this championship. The drama is on. Luke Patience is next to me, out on the water. Loué Habib, I'm sorry to hog the microphone a little bit, Loué. You've got a little bit of time now, Loué. Talk us through it. What are you seeing?
Well, there's been a hell of a lot that's been going on the last two legs, Digby. The big deal on Giles Scott and Stevie Milne, they got pinned out right on that beat, and there was a header. They didn't take it. The French did. the Brazilian Zarif did. They kept going, and that's what put him in last position. They kept on that header, and that's what got him out. Then, amazingly, you saw them catch up, the Brazilians there. That was partly because of extra pressure that's come down the track. So the boats at the back got that pressure first. But I'm sure that Scott and Milne spat in their hands and really went for it. But there's also been a lot going on this beat as well. But the big deal was Scott and Milne and Zarif and Boning pulling out onto the left-hand side to avoid that right-hand shift. And the two of them, they trained together. That's say Scott Giles and George Zarif. They trained together in the fin, and they were locked in side by side. But it was Scott Giles that got the extra speed, got away from them, spat the Brazilians out, and then they got into the middle of the pack. So two fantastic legs, some great battles going on. It looks a pretty even race course now. I wouldn't say one side favours the other, but they're all going down the middle anyway. It's very difficult to see from here who's winning, but I have to say that Robert Scheidt looks like he's been in a bit of trouble here, and it'd be all to play for at the top mark. But probably the big news is that the breeze has definitely increased. We're probably at a good 15 knots at the top end of the course. Might be a little bit less further down, but anyway, probably about 4 or 5 minutes till they make the top mark. I'll hand you back to the studio, Digby.
Thanks so much, Louis. Awesome stuff, and we've been studying Virtual Eye as you chat, and Rohard and Ponceau crossing ahead of Scheidt and Prada, and this really is a bit of an upset. Luke Lawrence is in the studio with us, J24 world champ and up-and-coming talent, top American sailor, and Yo, the two Lukes. We've got a three-way commentary going in our studio. We've seen the live shots, and then we can see Virtual Eye, which is quite revealing as to what is going on the racetrack. Luke Lawrence, Mendelblatt and Farty taking it away. Loof and Epstrom looking pretty good. But hello, George Zarif, Henry Björning up in third.
They are sailing a phenomenal race and a phenomenal day, as they have seemed to be able to put together the entire week. But like Luke and Giles had mentioned, he's been down in Brazil training, whether or not with Robert or looking at pictures of him. He's doing something right, and he's been pulling it together consistently, and it's been a lot of fun to watch him.
Well, it's be quite big news in Brazil, you know, if the youngster can pip the Grand Master, and Scheidt and Prada just climbed up to 5th position, and I think we're going to see fireworks on this downwind leg from Scheidt and Prada. He does not give up easily, that guy.
I think if George keeps it together here, he might be fighting Robert for some billboard space down in Rio. Now these guys are keeping it together, and I'd like to see. It'd be interesting to see both of them in the top 4, but obviously you guys have a thing for Jaws getting in there, so we'll leave some space for him. I got room for Mendelblatt, so that cuts out one of the Brazilians.
And I love the French. I'm a big French fan. I try and speak French, but c'est pas très bien pour les Français maintenant. Allez les Français.
Oui.
Come on, lads. Here we go. It's getting down to the cone, and we'll join our live shot in a minute, but virtually we are seeing the story unfold. Loof and Ekstrom about to hit that port ley line. Mendelblatt and Fatih have hit the starboard ley line. They've got Loof and Ekstrom going to conjoin and join them up. We will join our live shot right now, and there you can see the top mark in the left of picture with the spreader mark. They're going to come round and pile straight down the barrel. Luke Lawrence, talk us through it.
Well, it looks like Mendelblatt's pulled himself out a nice lead here. When you're up in the front and you're able to sail with clear air all the time, it's a lot easier to get up in the front. As soon as you fall second or third and somebody sits on you once, you miss one wave, bam, you're in last. And it happens very quickly, very consistently. Round, it looks like we have George Zarif in front of Freddie Loof, who's in front of the poles. Xavier coming in here. Let's see if Scott can get in front of him without fouling. And he's going to go for the full cross, it looks like. No, he is not. That is an issue. And there will be a flag, I'm sure. Flag thrown by Xavier.
Flag thrown by the French, protesting the Brits.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, we'll see what the jury has to say.
With the J flag, getting the red flag out. Go left, Adam. No. Left.
Red flag, and he has to do his spin immediately.
Bish bash, game over. I think that is the Brits trying to pull the rabbit out of the bag, getting into trouble. Luke Patience, just talk us through that for a second.
Ugh, it's hard. He came in on the port lay line. What he was actually trying to do there is just get cross ahead of the French guys, not infringe them, and let them round in front of him. Sometimes there's a bit of gentleman's etiquette in this sport, but not when there's this on the line, not in this last race. So unfortunately, his risk didn't pay off.
Wow, that is taking it to the wire and not quite making it, I think. So we can jump back to our virtual. Oh, sorry, we're queuing up a little replay, I think, of that. Oh, no, John, well, just replay it virtually, John Rendell from Virtual Eye. Can you do that? Just wave your hand when you're ready with that. We're looking at Giles at the moment.
He'll be so angry at himself right now. He'll be so angry. We might see some aggressive pumping here go on for the last few hundred meters, but a shame to see.
Yeah, he's still smiling. He's still smiling. John, as soon as you're ready with that replay, we will run it. Well, deep breath in the studio. It's big drama. Okay, here's the Virtual Eye replay of that little incident. Luke Patience, talk us through it.
Here we go. Well, Giles is coming through on port, and the Virtual Eye shows there's a gap between the French boat and Giles, but actually there wasn't. The French boat felt he had to dip below Giles, avoid a collision, and that's why Giles has been given the red flag, do his penalty turn, and carry on with the race.
Okay, back to our live shot. Thank you very much, John Rendell. And we're rejoining Xavier Rohart, Pierre Alexis Ponceau. They came out the better of that little incident, and these guys, no slackers, no passengers here. We can fire up the leaderboard onto the live shot, Andy, and Rohart and Ponceau now up into 5th position, and they are some 20 meters behind Kuznirovic and Zhitsky, and so it is about the French now trying to get into that top 4. Whoa. Over in the shots is Loof and Ekstrom, and they're all barreling downwind. Whoa, what's going on there? Pierre Alexis, he's not happy with something.
Not happy, boy. I imagine that's the camera boat perhaps sitting in their wind. But, you know, this is sailing. This is the sport. The longer they spend getting annoyed about this, the less time they're focusing on keeping the boat going fast. So,
true.
You know, there are always going to be uncontrollable things happen, outside factors. Get on with it, lads. Get the boat moving.
Okay, well, we can see our camera boat is trying to get to the front of the fleet, and of course they've just given a bit of crap to the French, and we'll apologise straight off the bat for that, but we have to manoeuvre around the track to get a course. But as you say, Luke, they need to get their heads back in the game. They literally have about 20 metres to catch Kuznirovic and Zhitsky, and it is really all about them firing downwind. And Adam, if you can pull out left, if we can see picture left a little bit, we can see the poles in the same shot. So there on the right, bow number 4 is Rohart and Ponceau, and in the distance we see Kuznirovic and Zhitsky going through to the final. Here it is. It's all about this little story here. Zarif and Björning are absolutely firing on all cylinders today. It looks like they're going to make it. It looks like Loof and Ekstrom have got the band back together and are playing in tune, and they're in second place. Mendelblatt and Fatih have managed to get their grip back on this championship, but Scheid and Prada at the moment are out. And what can they pull out of the bag? We've got just over half a leg to go to that finish line. It's getting exciting. It is about the French and the Poles, and it is about Scheid and Prada. We know that Giles Scott, well, I say we know. Look at them. We'll see if they can pull out any magic. I think it's extremely unlikely with the quality of fleet here, Luke.
I mean, I think it is probably unlikely, but stranger things have happened. I'm actually watching Shite at the moment. We've got the French, Rohart and Giles, from what we can see on Virtual Eye, quite a long way to the bottom of our screen. I would imagine Shite's got a pretty clear lane. He's able to do what he wants. I just wonder if he might be able to take the Polish guys' wind, put the pressure on them, move forwards, and it just might be enough to pip them into the finish. It's a big statement because I'm not looking at the race course from on the water, but looking at the Virtual Eye, that's a scenario that could be playing out here.
And I'm just going to chat to our cameraman Adam. We've got a beautiful shot of the French battling away with the Polish dudes, and we'll cut to that just for a second. And there is Xavier Rohard. He got a little upset, but now he's looking behind him. He's looking at Robert Scheid behind him, just seeing if Robert is going to present a danger. And we can see from Virtual Eye exactly where Scheid and Prada is in relation. Sorry, no, he's looking at Scott and Milne. Scheid and Prada. Adam, let's find bow number 5, the Brazilian boat. Let's just see how Scheid and Prada are getting on as they barrel downwind. They've got a clear lane, have they not? We can cut to the live shot and see Robert Scheid, the master of downwind sailing. And now let's see if he can make magic happen on this race course. Luke.
Well, there's not many meters left to do it, so get the afterburners on, lads. There's just a little bit of time left. I think he's in a good position, though. Like I said, he's maybe able to take some wind from the Polish guys, stir them a bit, distract them, get them looking backwards, get them to stop thinking about their own boat and stop thinking about their own waves.
Well, he's just taken the Frenchman. He's just slid through the French team up into 5th place. Now, mathematically, if my maths are right, there's some 15, 13 meters between Scheid and Kuzniewicz and Jitsky. And if Scheid can pull this out of the bag, I'll give him my hat as well. So Zarev and Björning stunningly in 2nd and 3rd. They've just been picked by Loof and Ekstrom. Let's just very quickly cut to the virtual. And here it is, going down towards the finish. A very quick word. We've got Louis Habib out there on the water. It's pretty dramatic. Scheid and Prada chasing the poles. The French are in it. Kuzniewicz and Jitsky battling for their lives in this competition. Louis Habib, very quickly.
Well, yes, at the back here, as you say, the big punch-up is between the poles and Robert Scheid. Robert Scheid stealing the wind of the poles, but the French are in clear air out here, and they are certainly a danger to both those two. And you know what? Scott and Milne are catching all 3 of them. So it's a real punch-up at the back. The top 3 look like they're clear, but the punch-up at the back is what it really amounts to for that last spot for the final. Back to you in the studio, Digby.
Thank you, Louis. Perfectly summed up. And we are seeing that battle right here on the screen. We are seeing Kuzniewicz and Jitsky. We are seeing Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada. And we are seeing Xavier Rohart and Pierre-Alexis Ponceau battling for that 4th position,
This could
swapping the lead. Luke, patience.
Sorry, I'm just getting excited here. This could be a photo finish. We've got our Virtual Eye saying 112, 112, 113 meters. They're all neck and neck at the minute. I hope this comes down to a photo finish.
Well, it is right now a photo finish. They're battling down the down the last leg. Mendelblatt and Fatih 50 so meters ahead. They're safe. They're cool. They're just going to cross the line first and get into the final. Zarev and Björning, unbelievable performance. Funnily enough, they haven't picked their favourite lane going downwind. They've picked their own game and they're changing it up, and they're following Mendelblatt and Fatih, and they're looking great. Loof and Ekstrom, the brilliant Swedes, up there in 3rd, but now it is all about 4th position. And in our picture we can see 98 George Zarev, Henry Björning just leading Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom. Now back to our virtual, and Adam, I'm going to ask you to ignore the finish. Let's go back to the guys behind. I want to see Kuzniewicz, Scheid and Prada. Back to our live shot. There
Look
it
at
is.
this, look
There
at
is
this.
Prada. The furthest in the red is
Yeah.
the Poles. Nearest us, bow number 4, is the French. And these guys
I think the Poles have
hammering
got
down towards that. They're going to compress. And I think the Poles are in it.
Yeah, I agree. It looks from this shot at the minute that it's just too much for Robert and Bruno to do. It looks like the Poles are straight through. That's them cross the line. Yeah, there we go. Cruz, fist in the air. Happy boys. And Robert and Bruno are out.
Wow. Wow. That is a massive upset. Hey, Adam, push into Robert Scheid if you can, just through that little camera boat. Let's just have a little look at the body language from the Brazilians. Whoa. Goodness me. Goodness me. Dennis Conner and Bob Fischer, two of the most experienced guys in our sport, both predicted that Scheid and Prada would have taken this whole championship away, as they did last year. But Mendelblatt seems to have a stranglehold on it right now. They seem to have that extra gear. And Scheid and Prada are out. Whew! That's astonishing.
Yeah. What a race. I mean, there's been so much place changing from the word go, and for a while there it was down to the last few seconds. It had been changing the whole time. So, you know, this is what this sport is about. You've got short course, a small amount of boats. It's gonna keep changing, and look what we saw. We've hit something we didn't think we'd see this early on.
Well, deep breath and deep sigh. In a couple of minutes, I think we will try and show a speeded up virtual replay of that last leg. Right now we're on virtual holding pattern with the bird's eye view over Nassau. And we can jump back to our live shot just for a moment. Robert Scheid, Bruno Prada out of the game. And no high fives or backslapping as they went over. Of course not. This is do or die.
It's do or die. And what can we say? Sport's cruel. You can't win them all. I mean, he's won almost all of them. So I don't know what they're thinking right now, but no one likes to lose, and it's a surprise to see. But as I just said, sport is cruel, and you know it's anyone's game. And we saw Zarif go in with all the confidence in the world and the happiness, and here he is, still one of the races of his life probably at the minute, and he's beaten his fellow countrymen.
Let's have a little replay down that leg with the power of virtual eye. And I wonder, Luke Lawrence, if you would pick up the mic and let's go for it. Virtual replay now. We're just coming up to about halfway down that leg. Scheid and Prada in a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, from what I could tell is the pressure was coming down from the left side looking upwind for the Poles, and they seemed to be able to link a few good waves together there at the end and stay just in front of Scheid and Prada. Scheid and Prada put together a great race as well as they could. Obviously, their fellow Brazilian George following through into the finals. Sailed a slightly better race, but who's to say that one little drop of the main sheet in attack doesn't put you from first to last in this fleet?
Just to let viewers know, the stats, ignore the stats in the box. That is the result of race 11. We're just replaying very quickly that last leg. So just ignore the box for a moment. Carry on, Luke.
Yeah, you could see towards the end, Scheid started to realize that he wasn't being able to pull it into perspective for the finish. So he started rocking slightly harder, pumping a little harder. He was sending it full on as he could to get into a leading position, but it just one wave, and that's the difference. There's 1,000 waves that you go over in a race, and just one is making it or not.
And sorry to interrupt, the box is now replaying live, So we're seeing Scheid up to fourth, Kuznirovic, Scheid, Kuznirovic, they're swapping.
Yeah, and you can see here 4th through 6th. A few seconds ago, they were within 3 meters of each other. I mean, that's less than a boat length. And to be fighting for this long all the way down the run, just to come out and only lose by a foot is tough to deal with. But then again, these guys have all won by a foot in their past lives before, so it's you give and you take, you know. Take as much as you can, but sometimes it doesn't always work out. So coming in here to the finish, obviously the top three guys, Zarif, Loof, and Mendelblatt, once they realized they solidified their positions, they started to relax, but the race at the back did not, and the Poles kept it focused all the way through to the end, and the pressure came through for them, and it could have gone either way, you know. Rohart, if the pressure had gone right upwind, left looking downwind, Rohart could have shot in there and got into the pin, and if it came in hard enough, Scott could have come from behind and gotten all of them. So that was just the variable that happened. You look up the track and you see Rohart had reached out far away from the course just to get a little leverage, just to try and get something, because he realized he wasn't making it and he needed a little bit more of a maybe edge to catch up, and it just didn't quite work.
Can we freeze that for a sec, Ben? Just hold that for a second. Just hold it, freeze it. Look at those tracks. That's unreal. That's quite cool to see.
You can see the leaders, the ones that were the most chill, were the ones that had the straightest line down the course. Up at the top of the course, they have a couple squiggles as they jucks around for position, and the ideal lane down. George likes to dive in hard off the offset, and so does Freddie, and go super deep down by the lee or jibe to take the inside track and cruise down to the finish. Because with these boats, when everybody's catching the waves, it's really hard to, the only way to actually lose is to miss a wave. Everybody's in the front is catching them. So if you miss one, you fall back a little bit and you miss another and you're done. But Freddie, I watched him yesterday. We got lucky enough in one race to round up in the top next to Freddie, and we went straight, and his experience dove him inside. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, he had starboard on us, and I couldn't get across him. And that's why he's got a gold medal, and I do not.
Okay, just Ben, who's operating the virtual machine. Ben, just pull out, just ever so slightly, pull up, if you can, and just hold. I'm quite interested to see, if you look at the colours in the left-hand boxes, that's the light blue is Mendelblatt and Farty. So look at his track coming down.
Is that him there, the lightest?
Yes.
And then
lightest blue, yeah.
And then George took an outside route. He seemed to be the farthest right looking downwind at one point during the race. You'll notice that the good guys, you got to stick to an edge because the pressure comes from an edge. It never trickles down through the middle very well, and with these big mainsails, it's nearly impossible to get anything around anyone.
Okay, so the yellow and blue to the right is Rohart and Milne. They're taking a bit of a flyer. They were at the back going around that top mark. They had to take a bit of a gamble, get into their own game. Luke Patience, I wonder if you could just analyse who's pink there. That's Scheiden Prada. Just have a look at Scheiden Prada's run down there. What do you think that tells us?
Well, remember when they first rounded, they were actually quite far back, and we had Rohart out on this, as we look at it now, the right-hand side of the course. And for a while, we thought it was a race between Rohart and the Polish. But actually, what Scheidt did is he got a clear lane inside of Rohart and Scott and Milne, and actually he was putting more damage on the Polish by about halfway down the run. And I imagine that's what he was thinking at that point, that his best possibility of getting into this top four was to put damage on the Polish, and he did. He did it from a long way back. I know he didn't get the result he wanted, but it's impressive to get to that position, to put them under the pressure, and good on them for holding their nerve and just pipping them on the finish line.
Here's what I've just noticed is that the pale blue, if you look on the number 4 there, Kuzniedowicz and Zitsky, that is the kind of the mid-blue line. And that looks like the smoothest one. That almost looks like the most direct course. And maybe there's something in that. They just pipped Scheiden Prada by 3 seconds. And to my mind, it looks like they took the most, almost the most direct route. I mean, I'm just kind of guesstimating a little bit here, looking at Virtual Eye, but it's a pretty cool thing to see these tracks. And I know we've chatted away about that for a little while. Let's just go out back to the water and join Louis Habib. If we can chat to Louis, we won't go to the camera. They're just organising their lens and sorting things out. But Louis, if you're on comms, what did you make of that last race?
Well, yeah, I've been listening with great interest to the conversation in the studio, and absolutely right there. The poles look fantastic on the beat, and the virtual eye's shown why. But I have to say, Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom at the top mark on both of those was just outstanding. The first one, they got in extremely well coming in on port. Now that big incident with Scott Milne and Rohart and Ponso, just before that, basically Loof pulled off exactly the same manoeuvre. He went straight through the front of, I can't remember exactly which boat, kept going through, and it was the poles, and he kept going all the way through and just zipped in there in third spot. There was no way the poles couldn't have hit him if they tried, so there was no way there was going to be a penalty. And Ekstrom at the top mark on both occasions in that last race was absolutely superb. So I really like the look of Loof and Ekstrom for this final. I'm putting my money where my mouth is a little bit there, but I have to say, yeah, the poles look fantastic upwind, but it's those mark roundings where you can make a massive difference. And don't forget, Loof and Ekstrom as well at that start got absolutely hammered at the start, but they hung in there. They didn't tack out onto the right-hand side. They hung in there in the dirty air and stayed in the pack. The big mistake, I'm sorry to say, from Scheidt and Prada was going right up that last beat. That really cost them dear. But it was incredible to see that their usual, weapon, their downwind speed, was negated. And at the end there, it came down to the fact that Scheidt and Prada had to jibe, so did Rohart and Ponso, but the poles didn't have to jibe. They did it in a one-er at the end there, and that's what got them that fourth spot. We've got course number, what number is it, Bob? We've got course number 5 up. We're struggling to find a course map for that. So there is a change in the course. There's also a change in the top mark. The wind has gone dramatically left, which sort of shows how bad it was to go up on the right-hand side. So the wind has definitely gone more to the north, and we've got course number 5 up. Perhaps you can tell us what that means, Digby.
Okay, Louis, thanks very much indeed. We're just scrambling around, grabbing a little cup of coffee. Thank you, Gemma, much appreciated. And we will grab some sailing instructions from somewhere. Alrighty, course 5, 3 laps. Downwind finish, Louis. That's a big one.
3 laps.
3 laps, downwind finish. Okay, folks, they're resetting the course. We have a little feature that we are going to play for a couple of minutes, and it's about downwind sailing, and I had the honour of jumping on Bruno Prada and Robert Scheidt's boat, and we mic'd up Bruno just to kind of tell us himself what is actually going on downwind, and it was a pretty cool little feature, and these guys are going to explain what's going on downwind, and we're going to have a little sip of coffee and enjoy this 2-minute feature, and Louis will come back to you in about 2.5 minutes. Bruno, give us a quick masterclass in downwind sailing technique from the crew's point of view, would you?
Yeah, we are in a starboard. We are in the downwind. Downwind is when the wind comes from behind. The sail is always open. It's a huge sail. One of the things that we do is that we roll the boat to get more speed. We have to synchronize between the crew and the skipper. This boat is a little bit slow, so we cannot do mistakes. And Robert is in control. He tell me what I should do, and because he's steering, so he has the control of the pressure of the rudder. So we have been sailing for 15 years, so we are pretty synchronized. And that's it. That's our boat downwind.
Bruno, it's quite unusual for a small boat like this for the crew to stand up there before the mast. Why is that? What are you doing?
Yeah, because I put my weight higher, and then we can roll the boat, make the roll easier of the boat. In this condition, it's pretty easy, but when we have big waves and strong wind, become very, very, very difficult. It's like surfing in a big wave. So the balance is very important.
And then obviously downwind, you can look where the wind is coming from. What kind of information are you feeding Robert?
Yeah, I'm in charge to give Robert information about where the wind, where the next puff will come from. But the final decision is always his decision. But I'm in charge to give him all the information about the wind.
And last question, how much fun is it crewing these boats?
Yeah, it's a fun. It's more fun because I'm with Robert and we are friends since childhood. So we have a lot of fun. And sailing with Robert here in Bahamas, this amazing place, I think a lot of fun.
Well, Bruno Prada just saying how much fun it is to sail in the Bahamas. I have Luke Patience, and we just commentated on that last race, the semi-final, and the upset of the Star Sailors League finals is that the lovely Bruno and the lovely Robert are out of it. You know, the defending champs have been wiped out, and the young Brazilians are through. Young Finn sailor, he's in to the final. I've been waving from Virtual Eye. They're in touch with the committee boat. We got 5 minutes, just about to hit the 5-minute gun. Bang, 5 minutes towards the final. Whew, deep breath, sip of coffee. Luke Patience.
Different dynamic here, different dynamic. We've got 4 boats. The fleet's even smaller again. This is not racing that we normally see in our sport, and that's what this event has been all about. It's getting it to the last race on the last day. And I know they did it last year, but it is a new thing in our sport, and it's great to see. So I'm not sure. You know, I've not seen 4-boat racing much myself. I'll be dead interested to see it. I imagine similar rules will apply, getting space, keeping control, and that's going to be a big thing here. I wonder if we'll see 2 boats split. We'll have 2 boats go one way and 2 boats go another way.
Out there on the racetrack are eyes and ears. Mr. Loué Habib coming up to 4 minutes. Loué, a comment from you, sir.
Bonani here. I mean, we're in shock, you know, to see Scheidt and Prada going out. You know, you'd have put a banker on them being in this final. The news on the course, yeah, so it's 6 legs, you know, 3 laps, but there is no spreader. So there's a top mark and a bottom mark. That's it. You don't get a lot purer than that. We've seen Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom. They've been marching up and down in front of the start line. The other boats have been staying well away, and the Swedes are prowling around saying this is ours, and it'll be really interesting to see. I think Medemblad and Fatih have shown excellent speed, and they've been very consistent. The Poles look like they've really got Upwind sorted, and then we've got the dark horses, Zarif and Boning. You know, you could literally flip a coin 4 times and get 4 different results in the final. So it's going to just be fantastic to see. It's a short course, 0.8 of a mile, and there's only 2 marks on the course. You don't get a lot simpler than that.
Thank you, Loué. So, 4 boats, under 3 minutes to go. In the Nassau Yacht Club, we have the 2 Lukes helping out with our commentary. Luke Patience and Luke Lawrence. Luke Patience, the silver medalist in the 470 class, and Luke Lawrence, the reigning J24 world champ. And as you say, it's a short line, 4 boats, very different complexity to this race. And last year I thought, how interesting is this going to be? I wasn't quite sure, and it was absolutely fascinating. Somebody's going to run away with it, but it's all about the prize money now. $40,000 US. Luke Lawrence, that's a tasty prize fund.
It is. I think it's going to be a really interesting race here because nobody's in the mind to mess each other up. They've got even points, winner takes all. No questions. Whoever crosses the finish line first gets it. Obviously, getting into first is a good advantage, but then again, when you have a big fleet, it's there's a lot less lanes and opportunities. With these 4 guys, you'd be surprised how close they're going to be and still be happy with their lane and not worry about anybody coming up and hitting them and taking it from them.
Well, there is Loof and Ekstrom heading out to the left. Everyone playing their own game. It's fascinating to see their tracks, their loops and dives and ducks, and you know, these guys should all be hitting that start line simultaneously.
I'm going to go out here and say that Zarif and the Poles out there are going with the option of being able to get out and get to the right-hand side of the course. They know that Freddie and Mendelblatt are both really fast. Both Freddie and Mendelblatt like the left-hand side of the course from the prior races. Mendelblatt here is coming up doing a high build approach to the pin. He's on pin lay line. Freddie's going to try and come in underneath him. If Mendelblatt has done it properly, then he's going to keep Freddie from getting to leeward of him. He'll probably bear away now to protect, or he'll stay high to keep his own hole. Freddie's going to come and try and take it from him. There we go, dial down, and Mark has the pin still. Freddie is playing right and going for the win at the boat, but he's got 24 seconds and he's deep in the box. Mendelblatt fully racing here, going for the pin, controlling the left-hand side of the course, and I think he's going to be really happy with that.
Whoa, back to our live shot, Andy, for the live start. That red star will come crashing down to the deck on the start gun, and bang! Brazilians are over the line.
Are they? They were launched. They were launched, you're absolutely right. And here we've got...
Hey, Loué Habib, out there, were the Brazilians over the line, do you think?
The jury are after them, but at the moment it looks like it's line clear. So the Brazilians, the young Brazilians, have got away to a flyer, and that has put Mendelblatt. He literally got spat out at the mark there at the pin end, and he's now effectively out of shift on the right-hand side. Just one correction: there is a spreader. There is a spreader. They put it very late, but there is a spreader. So we've now got Mendelblatt on his own on the right-hand side, and the Brazilians leading the pack on the left. Freddie Loof, if he can get up, if he can get some speed, can control the Brazilians, stop him tacking back over and taking him to the lay line. So it's certainly not over there, but I'd say the Brazilian won that, and I'd have to say that Mendelblatt lost it. So very interesting to see a replay of that to see if they were over. It was very, very close, let's put it that way. But at the moment, we've got a situation where Mendelblatt has been pushed out on his own on this first leg. But just remember, this is a long race, six legs in total. So it certainly all is not lost, but first blood to Zarif and Boning. Back to you in the studio, Digby.
Well put, Loué. First blood to Zarif and Björning, and they really did a sensational start. We're going to have a look at that start in virtual. I just have been pointed out by John that the committee race time is slightly out, so ignore the start timing in the box. We're just going to look at the replay. Let's have a look now. All right, Luke, patience.
I mean, you can just see that Zarif has pace there, and he's, you know, Mendelblatt is under a bit of pressure. He's obviously pointing a higher lane to try and make the pin end. But even on the virtual eye, you can see how advanced Zarif is, and he's just launched a space probe into space. See you later. Mendelblatt immediately on port, immediately rolled. That happened to me every start pretty much this week. But it's tough. And here's Zarif going. Mendelblatt straight onto port. And Zarif has just launched. He's absolutely launched. What a great start.
Wow. Nice. Okay, thank you for that. Let's go back to the live shot. And there is George and Henry from Brazil, firing out of the start line like a bullet out of a gun, showing a clean pair of heels to the incredibly experienced Mark Mendelblatt and Brian Farty, who through the first 2 days of this championship were leading pretty much every race. Day 2, in fact, I think they had a first, second and a first, which is fairly impressive. And now here we see all 4 boats hammering upwind, and it really is going to be tiny, tiny little moments that get this. And if you can just claw ahead at the early stages of this race, you can start to get the windward gauge, you can start to pour your exhaust on some of these other guys, you can start to match race, you can start to use that great term that you came up with, Luke, control. So, Luke Lawrence, what are you seeing now?
Right now I'm seeing Zarif doing what Mendelblatt had done in the prior races, which is play it really simple. Here you have, when you're 25% of the fleet, even if 2 boats go, it's better to cover them, unless you're obviously tactically just trying to go for the win and go for the big money, which I think George has obviously demonstrated by his start that he's going for. He's in a controlling position. He's, I mean, not gonna lie, if he messes this spot up right here, I'd be sad. I really would.
Well, when you're 22 years old and
with a world title or 3,
with a few world titles under your belt, you know, you're a quick draw merchant, aren't you? Hey,
Yeah.
You're a gunslinger.
He had the finger on the trigger before it even came out of the holster. Marks is still in the gun box at home.
Okay, loving the analogies today. The old sports analogies are flying off the mouth. So here we are in our studio. Big wave from the Luke and the Diggers. To everyone at home, guten Tag to all our German friends watching, and Italians and everybody around the world, in the USA, to Mark Reynolds and all the star sailors, to Barbara Vosbury. I know Barbara, the president of the star class, is really giving us some encouragement for the images and analysis that's going on. And we've had Dennis Connor in the studio, and last year we had Paul Kayard in our studio, mate. It's like a London cab, isn't it? I had Dennis Connor and Paul Kayard in my cab. A little bit of English humour for you, which of course the Americans are never going to get whatsoever. So big waves from us back on the racetrack, and there they go, Kuznierovic and Zitsky fighting for their lives, but in the far distance is the Brazilians, and they're pounding along now, Luke Lawrence.
Yeah, they're pounding along good. Now, Mendelblatt has come over here, and he's trying to take a hitch back across to consolidate with Freddie. Once he had the cross on the poles, he took it just to get over and see if he can get a piece of George. There's not that many opportunities. Yeah, he's bouncing back and forth with him right now. George had to sail, obviously, a large header out of the left-hand corner to just to maintain the cover. But Mark's really conservative and consistent. George tacks away there to not consolidate a loss behind Mark, to continue leading out to the left-hand side. Though on the last one that we had, I saw that they weren't too far away from the left-hand ley line. So I'm interested to see how far Zarif can go. Mark tacks away back to cover Freddie. Tacking not necessarily on his face, but we'll see when we get back to the live stream. There we go. Yep. And a little bit to the left, and we'll see if Freddie's right underneath him. Yep, he is. Zarif comes back to cover, protecting that important left-hand side. Pressure seems to be coming consistently from there, as it was in the earlier races. Earlier on in the week, we had some really solid right-hand pressure that would come across. But it's going back and forth. Mark went from last and ducking the fleet to bouncing back and forth on the zeros. So it's going to be a tight one here at the top. Mark having starboard advantage, and George probably going to have to sail into one more header before he gets to the other side. Mark seeming to have more options.
Well, thank you, Luke Lawrence. Luke Patience, you've been watching this. We're now looking at the virtual eye in real time. Virtual eye is about 5 seconds behind reality through the satellite gubbins, to give you the technological explanation. And there's Kuznierovic crossing tacks with Loof and Ekstrom. We'll stay with the virtual. There's Freddie ducking behind. Mendelblatt beginning to get comfortable on this race?
I think what this shows is that in a small boat fleet with just 4, ultimately a good start like Zarif had, whilst puts you in an advantageous position, there's still so much room on the racetrack with only 4 boats. If you were to have a start like that in 35 boat fleet, you're going to be launched probably for the rest of the race, and that's because of how few options there are for all the people that had a bad start. That's not the case here. You can see that already Zarif has been crossed there, and on the virtual eye he's actually in 4th position, and this is going to keep happening all race. I imagine the places are going to keep changing. It's going to be nose to tail, and we'll see as it cones in towards the top mark, and how close actually they all are together. I imagine it will be quite close.
Well, Loof and Ekstrom just crossing the bows of George Zarif and Henry Björning, or Buening. I'm not quite sure. I've never quite mastered the pronunciation of that one.
Buening. Latin. Buening.
Yeah. Louis going with Boning.
Yeah,
you know,
I
good
know.
Man. Good
of course
old Louis.
he is. Good
And
man.
Louis, let's rejoin you. We're just looking at Loof and Ekstrom at the moment. Louis Habib, over to you for a second.
Well, okay, famous last words from me. Let's see how Loof and Elvstrom managed this top mark. They've been pretty glam, but what a comeback for Medenblatt and Fatty after getting spat out the pin end. They're going to get to this top mark first. Incredible effort. It did look like there was a bit of a lift on the right-hand side. The Brazilians are coming in wide, but they're not going to trouble anyone. The Brazilians won the start, and they're not going to be far off last here out of the 4. No, they're going to probably get the poles, and they're going to get Loof as well. So, that's going to be tight. Yeah, no, it's going to be the Brazilians into second. So, it's amazingly tight, and now it's all about downwind speed. And we have to say, of the 4 here, it's definitely Loof and Ekstrom who have shown fantastic pace downwind. So, this is where really big gains and losses can be made on this first downwind leg, and nothing between. And we'll see if we've got any early jibers. Yeah, that's an early jibe there from Medenblatt and Fatty. And we got the next 3 going around. The Brazilians first. Yeah, no jibe on either, actually. No jibe on all. Ooh, hold on. That was a lovely little move there. I can't quite see the sail numbers from here, but I think that was a lovely little move there from whoever's at the back. He had a great mark rounding. But it looks like Medenblatt and Fatty are getting away here with the speed, but I wouldn't mind betting that Loof and Ekstrom have got a bit of pace as well, and we've seen how fast Zarif and Boning have been downwind. So, this is a 6-leg race. It's certainly not over, but at the moment, Medenblatt and Fatty have got the bit between the teeth. Back to you, Diggers.
Thanks, Louis. As you say, Medenblatt and Fatty hammering downwind with a 16-metre lead over Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom. And Zarif and Buening now at the back end, but they had a sensational mark rounding, didn't they? They managed to come from nowhere, and in virtual eye we can actually just replay that last minute or so going up into the top mark, and let's have a little look at that virtual eye replay in just a moment. Here is Zarif and Buening. Luke, patience.
Well, there's just Mr. Lawrence to my left here was just saying how powerful the starboard is coming in here in the small boat fleet. There's obviously been good pressure on that starboard ley line, and you're just in so much control. You can see here Freddie and the Polish guys having to duck behind. It gives those vital meters that you're always looking for in this race. And once again, Zarif with slinging from his hip and shooting the pistol is just firing on all cylinders. We've got a whole race to go yet, obviously, but yet again, another good move from them. Another quite ballsy move, if we're allowed to say that. And it's worked for them.
That's phenomenal. I love this guy. He's awesome. Luke Lawrence, what do you think?
Well, Medenblatt here, before we cut to the virtual eye, had already been on his 3rd jibe. So he had liked the right-hand side so much upwind that he came around, jibed, went really low, and then jibed back. and as we went away, he was going back onto port. So, yeah, and he's just been extending. So he's hitting those 3 shifts and just cruised away here.
What happened to Zarif and Björning here?
Trying to cross behind even though it is 2 boats, the wind shadow there for a short amount of time can offset you by the half length that it looks like Loof has jumped on him. And obviously as the fleet's bigger, the longer that takes, making it less prone to jibe inside. But Zarif liking the inside and knowing that he got passed on the upwind by Mendelblatt getting to his upwind right, is trying to get leverage inside of there. Zarif wants some cash.
Oh, nicely put. We're still in replay. John, just get us back up to real time. You can speed things up a little bit. We're still replaying, and we will rejoin the live shot. We'll rejoin Adam in just a moment with a wide shot.
Loof catching up, it seems, over the last minute in fast forward.
Zarif engaging the poles, coming back into the action. Kuznirovic and Jitsky on the podium last year here. Loof Ekstrom getting the band back together. In second place, Mendelblatt and Fatih beginning to get a grip of this final. Oh boy, these guys are quality, huh? 40-meter lead, 40-meter lead. Zarif now heading out to the right-hand side. And fairly soon we're in real time. Bosch, we are in real time now. And there in the distance are the Brazilians, the youngster. And we're looking there at Freddie Loof, 99 on the bow, engaging the poles. Kuznirovic and Jitsky. And they're beginning to come in. And we'll stay with the live pictures of these 2 boats just for a moment. But Mendelblatt and Fatih running away a little bit at this stage. Zarif and Björning in the frame, in silver medal position, in some decent cash money position. And Loof and Ekstrom, Kuznirovic and Jitsky battling for the podium as we speak. We've got quite a long way to go, do we not?
We do. Now that we have a 6-leg race, once they round the mark, they've essentially got the equivalent of the races that we've been doing all week, which is 4 legs left, 2 full laps, and then another downwind finish. Coming down here, we got George going really fast. He seemed to get the pressure on the outside left upwind, right downwind on the other side of the poles. What do you think, Luke?
Hang on, just before Luke jumps in, I'm really loving Adam Brown's framing of his shot with the spectator boats in the background. It's all good. The Da Vinci of sailing cameraman here, the America's Cup camera, giving us this incredible view of the Swedes taking on the poles. We can see the concentration on their faces. Look at Kuznirovic in the red bib with the number 3 taking on the gold medalist. They are eyeballing each other.
That is what it seems to be going. Freddie going for a jibe here. Now, if you take a close look, notice Freddie's pole is yellow. It's made of fiberglass and the poles are of aluminum. The reason I think Freddie goes with this is because the fiberglass ones break really easily, and if you stick it in the water, you'd rather the pole break than the mast. So for a long-term event like this where your goal is just to get into the top 4, you don't want to lose a rig because that's going to take you out of the overall contention altogether. Happy to have a disposable pole that breaks easy, and the inside left downwind is always crucial for this only 1 mark turn.
Oh mate, there's like 15 meters, not under 10 meters between the whole fleet here. It's ridiculous.
I reckon it's going to be a 4-way tie here down at the finish coming into it, you know.
Well, okay, that is 2 legs of the race, and we're doing 6, are we not?
We are. We are on the beginning, and judging by the phase, it seems George here is sailing into a little bit of left pressure way off in the distance underneath that cloud shadow. Seems to be pretty nice. If seeing how far he's willing to extend that way, we're going to see what position changes can happen here. He has gotten away to clear air and clear water and not sailing through all the chop normally there, so it makes it a lot easier to change gears and shift the focus to passing boats again, because he does have Mendelblatts in his sights and he is not going to let that go.
Well, all right, we are looking at the youngster, George Zarif, with Henry Buening from Brazil, who flew off that start line like a bullet, who did a great top mark rounding, who are in contention for the podium at the final race of the Star Sailors League Championship here in Nassau in the Bahamas. And oh boy, what a great place to sail. Luke Patience, the silver medalist in the 470 class. You've been racing here for the past 3 days, and it's your first to go in the Stars. And how phenomenal to see a Finn sailor, George Zarif, up there duking it out, having pipped his fellow Brazilians Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada to get into the finals.
I'd started to draft my sponsorship letter to Mr. Mendelblatt there, but do you know what? Now I'm not so sure looking at these boys. Yet again, we keep talking about them. They keep surprising us. They keep fighting in. I mean, they've obviously just got all the pace that they need to be able to race. You know, that's a great thing where you're not having to worry about if you're fast enough. You know you are. We've just seen Mendelblatt cross ahead of Zarif and slam attack right in front of him. That's back to this control thing we've been talking about all day. He's saying, look guys, I'm here. I'm not letting you out my sights. I'm going to put you in a hard position, and when you go back, I'm probably going to follow you and do it again.
Bang, I think we're in slight match racing mode here because there are so few boats. There's just 4 boats. If you've got a 2-boat tie like this, you're going to be match racing each other. And it was wickedly cool seeing Downwind Kuznirovic eyeballing his opposition in the same shot. I just could not believe that. That was really cool. It was the Swedes and the Poles eyeballing each other as they went down. And now we are looking at the Swedes third at the moment, mathematically going up the beat. We've got 4 more legs to go. They're going to go up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top, then down to the bottom to finish. A lot of racing left to go. We're not even halfway yet. There is really almost nothing in it. Any of these guys could take this because all the big gains are going to be made downwind, and these guys are going to be able to find some clearer lanes going downwind. But right now I am loving Mark Mendelblatt and Brian Farty because they're pouring exhaust onto the young Brazilian with Henry Buening and looking really good. And Luke Patience, silver medalist, master tactician yourself. The Americans are getting control back.
He just epitomizes that word today, doesn't he? It's all control. And really, when you're able to do this in a race, you're out in front, he should be under no pressure. There's no pressure here. He should be sailing free, sailing fast. You know, he's not gripping the tiller too tight. His fingers are nice and soft. He's feeling the boat. He's probably, I don't know, we've not got the numbers up, but he's probably on balance the quickest boat here upwind. And that's just showing in the position that he's in. As you said, there's a lot of race left, though. There's a lot of race left. And to me, it just looks ever so slightly lighter winds than the start. I'm not sure if that is true or not. It just looks at, from the view that we've got, that's going to make the downwind harder and more complex because the boat won't just surf onto the waves because of the pressure of the wind. It'll have to happen through physicalities and helping the boat, always helping her do that. So we might see a huge amount of distant changing downwind, certainly.
Well, we've got a great view of Brian Farty, the crew leaning out, and Mark Mendelblatt, just as you say, holding the tiller quite nicely, the tiller extension, quite relaxed, very focused, very competent, and he is, of course, pouring his exhaust back onto the young Brazilians who are staying with him. That's interesting, Luke.
He seems to not be bothered by it. That suggests that Zarif has a mode that he's able to adopt to be able to climb back off Mendelblatt, and even though Mendelblatt comes in, tacks and goes, says, what are you going to do about that? Zarif answers and he goes, I'm going to do this, mate. I'm going to pull a high lane and I'm still on your heels, and watch out.
Okay, well, we've got a great view now of George Zarif and Henry Buening from Brazil. And I wonder, guys, we're just looking at the bottom of the mast. They've got a North Sails logo there, and just below that North Sail, a bit of a bunch up of sail. So they have graunched down something there. What's that all about, Luke Patience?
Well, that's so what's happening here is they've got the Cunningham reasonably hard on, but when you go downwind, the very bottom corner of the sail rides up the mast slightly. So some of the boats have another control line which just smooths that out. To be honest, that far down the mast, that far down the sail, this gap we see, this triangle between the mast and the boom, isn't ideal, but it's not going to affect things too much, I presume. Is that right, Mr. Lawrence?
It's not worth leaning in for, that's for sure.
There you go.
Okay, so these tiny nuances of sailing, and they're familiar to sailors of all classes. My daughter Frances, 13 years old, racing her topper dinghy as we speak in the UK, the rainy UK. She's keen. She's learning all about these downhauls and Cunninghams and all the rest of it, kickers and all these cool sailing terms. And just have a look at these mainsails for a moment. You guys know a lot more about this than me. Luke Lawrence, just tell us, these are huge mainsails. What kind of control is going on here? What differences can you see between the Poles and the Brazilians right now?
Well, honestly, this is, as a 100-year-old class, the boat itself hasn't changed too much, but the sails and the rigging have become as modern as anything else. The Cunningham pulls out and flattens the sail. There is no vang for the upwind, like a laser or a 470, where you would use the vang as a major control to flatten the sail and then be able to ease the boom out. Instead, the Star has check stays and backstays on a running backstay system that allows you to transition through the range from light to heavy very easily without actually doing very much rig tuning at all. Plus or minus a turn here or there, and the boats are really, really versatile. And with the upwind capabilities that they've evolved into the sails, they've had to also keep the speed downwind. So being able to hoist the jib up way in the air, having the pole, an outhaul that goes 1/4 of a meter deep, and a mast that can go 1.5 meters forward all the way over the tip of the bow, pressing the bow down, allowing the boat to surf onto a wave really easily. Mendelblatt having a nice tack there. Yeah, just a little one.
Very short hitch. And here we are into cone territory, as Tyler Bjorn so beautifully put it over the last few days. And Virtual Eye is giving us a good shot. Freddie Loof is coming in on port, and the guys are all on that ley line heading for that mark. But only 8 meters, 9 meters between Mendelblatt and Fatih over Zarif and Buening. So the Brazilians staying with the Americans upwind. I don't know how they did that, but that is pretty cool sailing. Kuznirovic is in the hunt, and so is the reigning gold medalist, Freddie Loof, sailing with Anders Ekstrom. Back to our live shot, and Luke Lawrence, talk us through it.
Mendelblatt coming around again with the lead, and Zarif in second. This actually looks like the same rounding as the last time. Maybe a couple more meters between everyone. Freddie comes right into the shot there. Is that Freddie? Or nope, the Polish cross in front of Freddie. Coming downwind here, let's see if anybody goes for the super low road, because they hitched up to the right-hand side, not only for starboard, but potentially for pressure. There's a lot of powerboat wake inside of there that they're obviously going to have to consider. Powerboat wake down the inside of the course has been tough all week, and there's some advantages to just staying high and not dealing with confused swell. Obviously, if behind the camera boat, there's 6 or 7 other powerboats floating around out there, jury boats, and everybody wants to watch, and it's cool, and that's part of the racing. You know, at the Olympics, you have similar with the jury cruising around the course, and a lot more boats, and when you get to something like the Bacardi Cup with 100 boats coming around a bottom mark, it could be 4 knots of wind, and it's waves like that, and it's really surprising.
Okay, thank you, Luke Lawrence. We have the 2 Lukes in our commentary position. Luke Lawrence, J24 world champion, and Luke Patience, silver medalist in the 470 class. 2 class acts, out on the water. We have Louis Habib, the world famous journalist. He's also out there with Bob Fisher. And Louis, let's rejoin you. And right now, Loof and Ekstrom in a little bit of trouble. Louis.
Yes, they are, but beautifully covered, if I may say so, by the two Lukes. About the legs we've had so far. The only really thing to add here is that Loof and Ekstrom jibed early at that mark, and they've taken a different angle. Whether they're just doing something different, but they look like they've got a lot of pace, and I wouldn't mind betting they get back in the pack by the bottom mark. But yeah, I think you've covered it beautifully there. The conditions out here in the middle of the course, there seems to be a bit of a lull in the wind. It's where Rose Island sort of peters out and meets the mainland, and I don't think we're quite getting the acceleration off the land that we're getting at either end of the course. In the middle there's a little lull, and what tends to happen is the leader gets caught by the boats behind, but then the elastic band stretches back again as the leader gets into the new pressure first. So middle of the course there is a bit of a lull in the wind, which compresses that fleet, but it seems to expand back out again. It's all about downwind speed now, and just catching a few waves, even if they're off powerboats, Mr. Lawrence. That can make all the difference. But not much more to report than that at the moment. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Louis. Well put. More poetry from our Samuel Taylor Coleridge out there on the racetrack, Mr. Louis Habib. And Mark Mendelblatt is not having it all his own way right now, Luke Lawrence.
From what I could tell, he's jibed across to get to the inside because the Polish were coming straight down his line and slowing him down, allowing Zarif to go fast on the outside. Now the Poles have dove for the middle lane, Mendelblatt going for the inside, taking the Zarif track, as Luke has coined. And I think that's a safe move. You can't sit behind another boat. You can't follow from in front. You need to lead and decide your own destiny and look behind and pick the right pressure. And I think Mark's doing a stall. No, there he is.
Holy smoke. Luke and Luke, look at this. 3 boats neck and neck in the final. We're nearly halfway around the track, and there is nothing in it. I cannot believe it. You can't really call it at this stage. Mark Mendelblatt and Brian Farty, the first 2 days of the championship, they were off the blocks and sailing spectacularly well. But Kuzniewicz and Zitsky have just kept their cards close to their chest. You know, the Polish danger men have come into it. Loof and Ekstrom actually won the entire round robin of the first 3 days racing. And here they're in a little bit of trouble. But they've got a bit of free wind. Remember, the wind is coming from right to left, pushing these boats downwind. And we can rejoin the live shots now and just see the Poles working these waves, bending, rocking, ooching for the Star Sailors League final. We have given a Rule 42, I believe it is, Luke Patience, a bit of a break. And we are allowing the athletes to just do whatever they like in terms of rolling, ooching, imping, pumping, squeezing, all those funky sailing terms. And there we are seeing Dominik Zitsky on the bow of the Polish boat. They are fighting now for the silver medal here for the Star Sailors League final. A lot of money on the table at the moment. Mark Mendelblatt and Brian Farty are going to take... Oh, what's going on there?
I just dropped the pole.
Okay.
Back together.
Back together. A little mistake. Great. We saw that. And very quick recovery. Very smooth, Luke Lawrence.
Yeah, nothing on behalf of the sailors. It's gravity more than anything. Gets a little pop off and it'll fall. What you don't want is to heel too far and stick that pole in the water. And that's why Freddie has the fiberglass one. Because what'll happen is it'll go right through the mast, bend it or break it, and you're sitting in the water with a boat.
Okay, well, that's the Poles, and we've just flashed forward to the Americans. And Mendelblatt and Farty. Oh, I love the way Brian, the crewman, standing up there. He's just leaning against the shroud. Luke Lawrence, he looks pretty comfortable.
Yeah, he's looking forward. He's trying to pick the right wave to step forward on, to ooch and to rock with, because as active as these guys are, it's really easy to come out of whack and come out of rhythm and actually rock yourself off of a wave. Believe it or not, there's actually times right here, it seems like they're coming into the leeward mark with a nice comfy lead. Coming around, the last thing that's going to happen is Mark's going to blow the puller. Brian's going to pull the mast back. It's inverted. It's going to pop through in 2, 1. Oh, still inverted, but going up when they do. Tight rounding. And just like last time, there is 12 meters between everybody. George doing the exact same tack out to the left-hand side. Mark is going to extend most likely until... so what they do, they've changed the course here. They got change of course 15. Port, is that? Yeah, that. There we go. Change of the course. So the guys are going to be looking for the new mark to be in the water and then deciding their basic tactics. Nothing really changes. The wind is still square to the course, so it's still relatively even left to right. Clearly, though, a shift has gone one way and then settled in for them to warrant changing the course. But coming up here, Mendelblatt still seeming to like the right. If the poles go, Mendelblatt leading, deciding that Zarif is more of a challenge than the poles. Which Mendelblatt going for the win here because he feels Zarif is the only one that can pass him at this point. He's letting the poles go out with Loof, which is just fine, but I would not be, I don't think Mendelblatt's going to try and play the cover game with the two. He's kind of in the middle here, and looking at this angle, he's actually losing to Zarif considerably as time is going on. But let's see what he's got.
Well, these guys now have done 2 laps of the course, and effectively they have 1 more lap to go. So now we're in a game where they go up to the top mark. The top mark has moved slightly, but it's nothing new. That's how they do it in sailing. If the wind has shifted a little bit, the race committee will set a new top mark just to make it effectively dead upwind from bottom to top. That's how the sailing game works, and all our sailing fans all know this. If you're new to sailing, we've been using some fairly technical language, and I think that's okay, personally, because it's part of the game, and it's great to get some insight from such experienced sailors, the Luke and the Luke sitting next to me. Out on the racetrack, Louis Habib, world famous journalist. He also has Bob Fisher on board with him. Louis has been listening to us, and he's been observing with his eyeballs and his ears, and he's been feeling the wind, and he's been looking at these guys in reality, and he can probably give us a little bit of insight into the game that's going on out there. Louis Habib.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that it's quite a significant change in the top mark. It's been moved significantly to the north by some distance. We still, I've got to say, apparently they were calling out the change at that bottom mark, but it's a big change in this racetrack, and we'll see, which teams have adapted to that better as we go up. The wind has gone lighter with that shift as well. So big change in the conditions here. We've had a big wind shift and it's going lighter, and that's got to affect how the teams have adapted to it. Let's see how they're going. Probably Virtual Eye will give you the numbers, but I wouldn't mind betting there's been a big change there.
Right, Louis, this is Luke Lawrence here. What do you see in the sky? What are the clouds doing out there? It's I noticed a trend all week of getting to the edges of them seem to pay really well. Is there anything up there that you notice?
Yeah, we've got no sort of cumulus type cloud above Rose Island. It's very high cloud, which is tending to say that the breeze is definitely that's the gradient breeze is definitely going lighter. We haven't got much of a local effect. I think this is a general wind shift, from gradient wind. So there's no sort of cumulus developing over the land. It's very high cloud all around. The only lower cloud over the land is down to the south, which isn't affecting the course at all. So I think we're looking at a shift in the gradient breeze more to the north.
That would make sense. Seeming 2 o'clock, it's probably the hottest time of the day, the most amount of land effect that we're going to see out here, and then wouldn't be surprised if it diminished later on in the day, going back towards the right.
Well, we're right up with Freddie Loof here on the right-hand side, and just looking at how the boat's moving, the breeze is definitely down. It's difficult to judge the wind speed when we're going along in the Cat. Freddie's just tacked over there. There's a spectator boat getting a really good close look, I must say. But Freddie's really out on a limb out here on the right-hand side. I don't know, they've probably got about 4 or 5 minutes left to go before they get to that top mark. But it's a significant move. That's moved hundreds of meters over to the north. But it'd be very interesting to hear on Virtual Eye who's actually closest to that mark.
Thanks, Louis. Okay, we're on Virtual Eye now. A big spread in this fleet there, almost halfway, pretty much dead on halfway. Loof and Ekstrom some 100 meters behind the race leaders, Mark Mendelblatt with Brian Farty. Zarif and Buening in 7 meters just behind the leaders. They're staying in touch, which is miraculous, and staying, even gaining as we see. That's extraordinary. Kuznirovic and Zhitsky in 3rd position at the moment, just behind the stern of the Americans. And Luke Lawrence, what can you tell us about this picture here? Zarif and Buening now in the lead.
Looks like George here has jumped out to the left-hand side. He's gotten some pressure, and he's seeming to have jumped ahead of Mendelblatt. Mendelblatt, though, on the short course, sticking with the similar tactics, is really happy with the starboard advantage. Coming up here to the right-hand side of the course, Mendelblatt being the farthest right boat other than Freddie. Zarif still going out there, hoping for more. There he comes back, and we're going to see who's ahead here, because I think it's going to be really tight. And honestly, Zarif could have the run of his life here and take some money from Mendelblatt. That'd be fun to see. But I don't think that Mendelblatt's going to give it away easy. He jumps back into the lead there with a small right-hand shift over George's lefty.
Well, this is pretty sensational racing here. We're in leg number 5 of 6. There will be one more downwind run to the finish line, and after 5 legs, these guys are neck and neck. This is sensational. Their boat speeds are very, very similar, and we are looking at George Zarif and Henry Buening. George, a Finn sailor, giving it rocks, taking out some of the best star sailors in the world, and that's quite a result for the Star Sailors League. The whole idea of this championship is to have a bit of a champion of champions event, and there is Mendelblatt regaining control. He's on starboard, Luke.
He's coming across here. He's going to lead back the Poles beforehand just to keep that starboard advantage. The Polish came up and faced on Zarif, knowing that they could lock him away into a comfy position. Now I think I'd really like to see George versus Mendelblatt downwind and see some young bull versus old bull and see really what comes out. I think Mendelblatt's got the years of experience, obviously a couple of games under his belt by now. Zarif, the young bull, coming up, and obviously his horns are out and he's doing just fine.
Well, that is the 2-shot right there in our picture. We are seeing 1 and 2. Mendelblatt actually with who are we looking at?
The Polish.
The Poles, sorry. Mendelblatt and Farty with Kuznirovic and Zhitsky neck and neck, firing towards the top mark. We'll stay with the live camera. Loof is some 17 meters mathematically behind. Zarif and Buening have played their own game a little bit. We can cut very quickly to Virtual Eye just to see where Loof and Ekstrom is. Zarif and Buening beginning to get buried a little bit behind the Americans and the Poles, but Loof and Ekstrom now beginning to engage from the bottom of my screen. And Luke Patience, you've been watching this. You are the analyst, you are the silver medalist in the 470, and it's getting interesting. It's still really not very much in this game.
The moving game of chess continues, huh? And we can just see here, Loof has come right back into it. He's crossing ahead of Zarif there. And these three boats have been on the left-hand side of the track. Freddie, the Swedish boys, they were left to their own devices. They probably had the boat going fast. They felt like that right-hand side of the track worked for them. And this is great. They're right back in the race. And we're back in a 4-boat race here. For a while it was a 3-boat race. That's now not the case. Loof's obviously fancying, excuse me, fancying that left-hand side, and he's going to come in and slingshot his way to the windward mark. He's right on the ley line, judging by the virtual eye here. So who knows? He might have just had the comeback of his life there.
Okay, well, virtually we can just spin round and look at this from the top mark and match up with our camera on the water. Oh, the lead changing right in front of our eyes. And there, we're meters away from the top mark. There are the American crew. As we pull out, there are the Poles. They are pretty much neck and neck. Luke Patience, talk us through this top mark.
Well, the Poles have just been eking away at the inches the whole beat. So it's what's going to be interesting here is to see if the Poles can tack ahead of Mendelblatt from the USA there, see if they can round the windward mark just ahead of them. However, with there still being a run left, you could argue just having the advantage of being the boat behind, being able to control going downwind, that will be good. So here we go. The Americans have just tacked. The Polish have managed to tack in front of them. Have they gone too close? It doesn't look like it. The Polish are in. There's no flags flowing here by the Americans, so the Polish managed to do that, put the Americans under pressure. Here we go. Let's see if this continues down this first run. I say first run, the last run, into the finish, the money shot. And the Swedes are rolling in. They've pulled ahead of Zarif still. And I would say, Freddie, they're close enough to be able to do something. They're still in this race. I think the race win is anyone's.
Oh, sweet. This is all building up to quite the finale of the grand final of the Star Sailors League, and sensationally the Poles, Kuzniewicz and Jitsky, have just taken the lead ahead of Mendelblatt and Brian Fatih, and Loof and Ekstrom are still in the hunt with Zarif and Breuning right behind them. So remember, guys, we have 200,000 US dollars prize money at stake. 40,000 US dollars go to the top guys on the podium at the end of today. We will live stream that podium prize giving ceremony, and that is run right next to the swimming pool. I'm going to put some good money on a few sailors ending up in that pool after that. But right now, we are looking at Kuzniewicz and Dominik Zicki taking it from the Americans. And the Americans are in it. We can cut to virtual eye for a second. And there they are, hammering downwind. Loof and Ekstrom are still in this game, but there is almost nothing between the Americans and the Poles as they scream down towards this finish line. And it is neck and neck racing. Luke Lawrence, you've been watching this and you're getting into it. This is cool. We can see virtually that they are neck and neck. There is 1 meter in it. And now we can cut to our live shot. And there are the Poles duking it out with the Americans.
Yeah, the Poles coming downwind here, in my mind, in a good advantage, because being to an edge is where you want to be coming down here, and they've clearly worked to the outside, also giving them the advantage to be able to jibe onto starboard if they still have a piece of Mendelblatt. Coming into the finish, I think that is going to be what separates 40 grand from the rest. This is a really tight one here, still going 0.
It's neck and neck. It is absolutely neck and neck. And Luke Patience sitting next to me. What are you seeing here, mate?
Oh, mate, goosebumps on my arms for a start. I'm getting all excited about this. I mean, look how close is it? It's just going to keep happening. I don't think we can sit here and safely say who's got this. Freddie's probably going to keep pushing in. The Polish, the Americans, they're possibly slowing each other down by being so close. That's opening the door for Loof. However, let's not forget about Zarif. We've watched him all day. He goes downwind fast, and what he's doing here, he's off on his own. He is going for the hero's gain, and good on him. Why wouldn't you? You know, when you're in fourth, you're coming round. We might see an upset here coming into the finish.
Hey, Luke, George Zarif and Henry Breuning have got the dice out. They've chucked them on the table and they're bouncing along in the casino, and they're out there on their own, tasty in their own breeze. If a little puff comes down there on the right hand side of the course as we look down, they could be in the glory. And really there is only some 30-40 meters on the gain line between the front and the back. It is anybody's game right now. As we speak, the Poles are just managing to hold off the Americans. The Americans attacking the Poles, but Loof and Ekstrom are now climbing into the middle and playing their own track. So it is very possible that the Americans and Poles will stuff each other up, and we could well see Loof and Ekstrom just slide in, and they're beginning to get into this game. Look, 14 meters, now 13, now 12 meters, now 11. Look at the Swedes. Look at the Swedes. Let's go back to the live shot. And there we see everybody. We can see right nearest us, the Poles, engaging with the Americans. In the middle of the shot, we can see, stay on the foreshot, Adam. Stay on the foreshot. We can see it is the Swedes, Loof and Ekstrom, hammering downwind, beginning to claw in some meters. And on the far side, Zarif and Buening taking a bit of a fly, a bit of a gamble. Right now, they've got quite a lot of work to do. Pretty unlikely.
Hey, well, no one likes a gambler when you're in the race against them. It's red or black, but we like it watching in the screen. Yeah. It's keeping it exciting for us. The podium boats here, we've got Poland, the US and the Swedes. They are absolutely neck and neck. And actually, Freddie has come right into a position inside both the Americans and the Poles. He could maybe do something here. I wonder if there's a bit of breeze over on that side of the course. If there is, maybe perhaps Zarif might pick that up, although I've just said that he's dropped to about 60 meters behind. But hey, we might have a photo finish here. This is going to be good.
Well, it's looking at the moment like Mark Mendelblatt and Brian Farty are just managing to squeeze half a boat length ahead of Kuzniewicz and Jitsky. And there's the Swedish danger man, the reigning gold medalist, the legend that is Freddie Loof, sailing with Anders Ekstrom, just trying to engage and get in there and find his own little puff of breeze. So it's all down to puffs of breeze, to crew work skills, to the roll of the dice. But really right now, Mendelblatt and Farty are showing a little bit of speed downwind here over the Poles, and we can see them both in the same shot. They'll be looking at each other, they'll be looking at their boat, and it's all on here. And right now that shot is from the perspective of our TV camera boat, slightly behind, looking through the Poles to the Americans. But on virtual eye, we can see that Loof and Ekstrom looks like they are about to take the Polish team out. Check that out, neck and neck. Mendelblatt and Farty beginning to stretch out a couple of boat lengths on the Poles, with Loof right behind. And look at these guys, they are drag racing to the finish.
This is one of the coolest things I've ever been around to see. I got the opportunity earlier this year to race the Etchells Worlds with Mendelblatt, and he's one of the most talented people I've ever been on a boat with. He's going phenomenally well right now downwind, and to be in the middle, I know we talked about the edges earlier, Freddie having the right edge downwind and the Poles having the left. Mendelblatt extending 3 lengths. He was going 7.5 versus 5.5 for a little bit, and it seems he just got the pressure and got locked into some awesome waves. And crossing my fingers, he might sail his way into paying for dinner tonight. So I'm pretty excited.
Okay, that is Luke Lawrence, the reigning J24 champ. Right next to me, Luke Patience, silver medalist in the 470 class. And this is quite some drag race.
Here we go, here we go. Do you know what? 70 meters between Mendelblatt and Loof. That is not a lot. That's one wave. One wave in these boats, you can surge more than 15 meters. So, hey, these guys have got to keep on it. Mendelblatt here, we're seeing them sailing downwind. They're rocking. I'm not counting out. There's Loof. I mean, that's what 15 meters looks like. It's a heartbeat. It's a heartbeat. So they're putting the pressure on. The Polish have actually dropped back a little bit. Perhaps now Freddie's timing his attack. Look, virtual eye, we're getting to these final stages of the race. We really are. And there seems like, for me, it's a 2-boat race here. We're running out of time.
We're getting right down to that finish line. On the live shot, we can see the live pictures as Mark
This is
Mendelblatt and Brian Farty take the championship win over Loof and Ekstrom.
Bravo.
Who would have thought that? That is an amazing result for the Americans. Mark Mendelblatt and Brian Farty. Oh man, you can see how much that means to them. And if we pull out in the picture, we'll see the other guys crossing the line. Well, fantastic result. The Poles are happy, the Swedes are happy, and in come the Brazilians. George Zarif with Henry Buening in 4th place. I tell you what, that is a sensational result for these Brazilian. The young George can really hold his head high. He has beaten Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada. He has beaten Torben Grael with Guillaume de Almeida, 4 of the best Brazilian sailors on the planet right now. And this little guy here, this youngster, 22-year-old Finn sailor, has just got into the final, and he's in the prize money. He won't be on the podium. 4th place is always a bit of a nightmare to finish in any race because you're just off that podium, but head held high. Phenomenal sailing by Freddie Loof, I thought, on that last little bit. Luke Patience.
He came round that bottom mark before the last upwind, and he was a reasonable amount behind. He had a lot to do, and he just clawed it inch by inch, and he got up to the windward mark. He passed ahead of the Brazilians, and he just seemed to sail a smart downwind, a fast downwind. I mean, I don't know how he's feeling, but that, as you said, was a fantastic pullback. He didn't just get onto the podium, he almost won. It was down to the last few meters.
And I'm loving these shots of Brian and Mark. They're just washing their mouths out. They've probably been drinking seawater for 5 legs of this race course, and there they go. They're teaming up for a little photo, and they've been giving each other big hugs. This really means an awful lot to the Americans, and if we pull out, Adam, give us a bit more of a wide shot. Let's see who else we can see coming in towards the dock. Oh man, that was a cool race. I can't believe how close they were all around the track. It's phenomenal. 4 boats neck and neck, pretty much 3 boats neck and neck coming down towards the finish line.
This is what the Star Sailors League final was all about. This is what it was meant to be. You know, we've watched it go down to the wire, like you said. It's been, I mean, fascinating to sit here. As I said, I've had goosebumps myself just watching it. I wish I was out there myself. I'm not good enough yet in these boats, perhaps one day. But these guys have just put on such a good show, and under that pressure. You know, Mendelblatt was ahead at the windward mark, and even though he just finished, that's all you need to finish by is a few meters, and it's enough. And you can see them. They're just happy boys there.
Well, out on the racetrack, Louis Habib was watching that live. Let's just chat with Louis just for a moment. What an amazing result for the Americans, Mendelblatt and Farty. What's your take, Louis?
Well, I think my take is that the crucial point in that race was that last top mark. All 4 boats jibe set round it, and Mendelblatt and Farty absolutely nailed the jibe. So did the Poles behind them, but Loof and Ekstrom, their jibe was okay, but the Brazilian jibe was an absolute shocker, and that created the space for Mendelblatt and the Poles to get away, particularly Mendelblatt, just get that little bit of separation so he wasn't getting the foul air at the start of that last run, and then they held on, and quite incredible. You know, just incredible. But for me, the crucial moment of that race was that last top mark and the jibe set that Mendelblatt and Farty pulled off. But just seeing Loof and Ekstrom cross the line, they looked like they were so delighted. They looked like they'd won it. They were hugging each other as well. And you know, quite incredible result for them to just step back into the Star. The Polish team, a fantastic effort, and you know, well worth their 3rd place. But as you say, Zarif and Boning to make the final and beat all those massive Star sailors was incredible. And for them to get to the final, I'm sure they'd have taken that at the beginning of this competition. But we're really looking forward to the presentation back at the Nassau Yacht Club, and I'm sure a big party afterwards. So we're going to head in with the sailors. I think we'll still get you a few shots on the way in, we've got Loof and Ekstrom just to our right, and Brian Fatty and Fatty and Metalblatt, I should say, just in front of us. So we'll follow him in, Digby. But I'm breathless. Absolutely amazing final. That's what sailing should be all about. Back to you in the studio.
Oh, thanks, Lue, and good emotions out on the racetrack, and very nicely summed up, Lue. We are now just in the final stages of our little broadcast. We're still looking at the camera out there, and from just sliding back in. We can fire up our beauty shot of the swimming pool, Andy, and fire up just the results for final confirmation. Okay, so Mendelblatt and Farty. Mark Mendelblatt with Brian Farty, the champions of the Star Sailors League in 2014. Followed by Freddie Loof and Anders Ekstrom. Freddie Loof, the reigning gold medalist from 2012 in the Star, getting back with his old crewmate Anders Ekstrom. Anders, a craftsman from Sweden who has designed the beautiful trophy that is awarded to the top crew here, which will go to Brian, and we will see that when we live stream the prize giving. They're all getting set around the pool, everybody's firing in into the dock, and there in third position Mateusz Kuzniewicz with Dominik Zicki from Poland. That's a pretty cool result for them. They were ecstatic crossing that finish line. And there, the youngster, 22, George Zarif, with Henry Buening from Brazil, an experienced Star crew who had a lot to do with George's result here. And big credit to Henry, and big credit to George as a guest, a VIP from the Finn, coming in, getting into the final ahead of some of the legends of the sport, such as Torben Grail, 5 Olympic medals, and Robert Scheid, 5 Olympic medals. Let's just wrap it up here with a final comment. Luke Patience, what did you make of all that?
Well, for a start, I think George Zarif will be wishing the Star was still in Olympic class, I imagine. I mean, this has just been such a good show. It's amazing to come and watch this. The Star Sailors League final here in the Bahamas. I'm honoured to be here myself and to come and watch these guys do it. It's just so exciting to see, and what a place to do it. And these guys, I hope, are just coming away from it, and the show that's been put on is one that everyone wants to come back and do again. I know I do. And wow, I still can't get over that last 50 meters of the race. It was all on. It was all on. It was all on. Well, sport's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing, and that's kind of why I love it. And I have a little theory that I'm going to share with you guys, and we're going philosophical here.
Good.
Just to wrap it up, here's my final thought. I've been in sport for about 30 years, you know, as a career, and my theory, here we're going right off piste here, but I love a bit of philosophy. Before we come to your final words, Luke Lawrence, is that I think sport is a substitute for war. Okay? Big one. I think sport, we're all pretty warlike. We've had to be warlike in the development of the human race. We've had to be competitive, and we all have that kind of instinct within us. Sometimes it comes to the surface, sometimes it doesn't. In a civilized society, you know, we have to kind of rein it all in a little bit. But you guys have chosen a career where you're duking it out, you know, do or die situations like the quarters, semis and finals here. And my theory, it's only a little tiny theory, is that sport is a pretty healthy substitute for warfare. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything. And,
it's a good theory. I think
I've
I
been
agree with you.
talking for 4 solid days, and I'm now getting into philosophical mode. Luke Lawrence, your final thoughts on this whole championship?
Wow, this was probably one of the coolest things I've ever been a part around. This definitely is the coolest thing I've been around. Congratulations to Mark. He sailed a phenomenal regatta, kept it all together, led for 2 days out of the event, didn't get the bye into the semifinals, so he had the stress on the entire time, and I think that just shows more at this level that everybody here is a champion, but whoever can win, it's pretty boss.
Nice one. Hey,
yeah.
Luke, what is that hat? What's going on with the hat there?
This was my parents' fence company. That
Oh,
I grew
yes,
up
get in there.
Construction.
What does it say?
Lawrence
Fence Corp. Corporation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Loving it, loving it. Okay, rock and roll. All right,
Yeah.
that's it. From the
Okay.
caps, the pink one, from the British one, and from the family business one, and from the Star Sailors League, right here on my chest. Cool championship. We're going to wrap up our little broadcast here. We're going to thank everybody at home and at work, I hope, who have been watching all this.
Doing real
and
jobs.
we're going to stream the prize giving in approximately 20, 30 minutes. I'm not quite sure. But as soon as the guys get in, you can come back and watch a bit of fun with the prize giving. There's a ceremony, flags, national anthems, and a massive jump into the pool. And I'm going to put my phone on the table here and dive in myself. What the hell? But all right, simultaneous from the diving board. That is it for us just for a little while. Let's play it out with some nice music.